Hello, everybody. Welcome to the stream. Welcome. Hello. Thank you guys all for tuning in. I appreciate it. I'm running fashionably late as usual. God is that? Yes, I am God. Finally, someone acknowledges me. Hey, everybody. Yeah, I'm running fashionably late today. I took a nap, and then I was like, I have to get up. No. And so I was dragging my feet a little bit. Holy shit, this chapter. I'm so excited for I'm so excited for the weekend. But yeah, thank you guys all for tuning in. Welcome. We are going to be getting through Volume 9, Chapter 5. And we have a lot of stuff to talk about. I really liked the pacing of this episode. I feel like it's going to be a really straightforward discussion. I feel like it's going to be I feel like the conversations are really going to be like offloaded towards the end, especially with fucking Jaune. So yeah, I'm really happy with how this episode played out, because like I feel like everyone's like all hyped up for the same. I feel like there's two schools of thought right now. Like in general, people are like, okay, Jaune needs to like talk about like what the hell happened to him, how long he's been here. Jaune needs to give us like a freaking info dump, right? Of like the events of the Ever After from his perspective. And then Twitter's perspective is Blake and Yang are kissing next episode. So I feel like those are the two schools of thought going on right now in the community. And I feel like one of them is going to happen. If both of them happen in the same episode, I don't know what the fuck's going to... I have no idea what the hell's going to happen with us after Saturday. Everyone is, like all of RWBY, like people at Rooster Teeth and RWBY in general are really hyping up the episode. Barbara has gone on social media multiple times, even like their Rooster Teeth like podcast shows, to be like, if you cannot watch the episode as soon as it comes out, stay off the internet or you will be spoiled. So I don't know what that could literally mean. And so, like, I know what it means, but, like, I don't think there's ever been anything in the show. I mean, there has definitely been some things that it's like, if you go on social media, you are going to get spoiled. But, like, at the same time, I'm like, what could be that big? And, like, the first thing that comes to my mind is Bumblebee. Like, that's the only thing I could... Like, what would be such a shock to see happen that you'd have to stay off socials? You know what I mean? So, yeah. The only other thing I can think of is, like... someone literally gets killed on screen, or we see more of Summer, or something. Like, I couldn't, you know, or like a character reveal, you know, something like that. The cat kills you. We actually find out in this episode that Jaune's allergic to cats. That'd be hilarious, though. It's an Eddie episode? Ooh. Oh, boy. But yeah, God, man. I can't believe that episode, dude. Like, my two favorite parts of the episode, for sure, was definitely the blacksmith scene and the Jaune reveal at the end. And I actually feel like the episode gets better the more I watch it. Like, I watched it the first time, and I feel like, for my initial reaction, I was just like, head empty, only Jaune. Like, I feel like I didn't talk about the episode as a whole in my video, because, like, the ending absolutely, like, completely stole like, Jaune literally robbed that entire episode. Like, he ate that entire episode, even though he was only in it for, like his reveal was only for, like 2 minutes, you know? And, yeah, I don't know. I thought it was fantastic. Yeah. Just his reveal, like, with his armor, too. Like, I slowly realized that it was him because, I thought his sword and shield would be different. Like, I didn't think he'd still have the broken sword. I thought he would have, because there's a blacksmith, so I was like, oh, she might reforge it for him, but still has the broken sword, still has the rusty-ass, like, almost wood-looking shield. It's all just kind of gone to shit for him. And, the armor was the only thing of note that I was like, oh, that's clearly Jaune. And then when I saw his weapons, I'm like, okay, it's really Jaune. And then he took his helmet off, and I'm like, I can't believe that's Jaune. You know what I mean? I actually said in my video, too, I was like, everyone and their mother knew that was Jaune, but we didn't know it was that Jaune. You know what I mean? I did not think he would have aged. So, yeah, the episode was just fantastic. And just to kind of give my general thoughts before we jump into it. See, this is how good the episode was. I'm already talking about, like, the ending, because that's what I feel like the main conversation is going to be around going into this next episode. But, yeah, he's got the Warrior's wolf tail. Yeah, I mentioned that, too. Yep, he's got the Warrior's wolf tail. That's, like, a Volume 4 reference. His jackalope companion is named Juniper, which is after his fucking team. So, like, kill me now. And then, I don't know if anyone else noticed this too, but the flower at the top of the tree, I'm sorry, the flower at, like, the top of the, like, I guess that structure in the lake reminded me of Ren. Like, it's like a giant, like, lotus flower, and he, like, brings them to the top, and they're all up in there. And, so that reminded me of Ren. And I'm just like, damn, Jaune. Jaune's going through it, bro. But yeah, I'm just really, I just really love how the last episode set up. And the thing too is that this weekend's episode's the halfway point. So I feel like it's going to be like a really high point after the last episode. So if they're hyping up episode 6, I'm really excited for the second half of the volume, because I feel like the first half, like the first 5 episodes really feel like the introduction, like a true introduction to the Ever After. We're getting a new character every episode. We're getting a new location every episode. And like the plot with Alex is slowly moving forward, but like we don't really know, like there hasn't been any major leaps forward in terms of like Ruby's identity, like the shift of that, which I assume is going to happen. We have Jaune now, so that's going to be progressing, which is good. We haven't gotten any of Neo yet. We still don't know what the final conflict is going to be in terms of them getting out of the Ever After, making it to the tree. So I really feel like these next 6 episodes, or 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Yeah, these next, wait. Episode 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, I'm sorry, these next 5 episodes, my bad. I'm literally, we're already past the halfway point. So episode 6 is like the back half. So I really want it to, I really hope that it gets as much as it needs to get out. Yeah, I don't know what, I literally woke up like half an hour ago to do this stream. So yeah, there's only 10 episodes, so we're already over the halfway point. My bad. So I'm just like, I'm just thinking to myself, I'm like, I feel like either I wonder if runtime's gonna get longer, because I remember Jeff Yetter mentioning that the episodes are on average about 18 minutes, including the intro and outro, but I think we've only gotten one episode that exceeds that. And I remember him mentioning that some episodes will go over that time. So yeah, I'm optimistic. I'm expecting at least the penultimate or maybe even the finale episode to be a bit longer. But I just hope that they get everything that they want to get out in this episode, in this volume, if this is like a one and done. Another thing too that I just want to say, that if this is a one and done volume, like if we're in and out of the Ever After in one volume, it's actually kind of crazy how much like money and assets went into locations, settings, models, and just making characters that can't really be reused again. You know what I mean? Like if Team RWBY gets like new outfits, we know that those characters are gonna, like, those models are gonna last them for like the next couple of years, so that they're not making new character models every year. But like, I feel like everything that went into this volume is not going to be reused, and therefore like I feel like it's gonna be it's a super expensive volume that really won't have any reusability, which is I don't know. It's just something that me and my friends were talking about on Discord after we watched the episode, because it's like usually you kind of get a lot of reusability after getting like having like a big budget increase for the volume, or if you're going to use something that you know is going to last you for several volumes, like I said, like a new outfit or something like that. But I can't say it's not worth it, you know what I mean? But it's just kind of crazy to think how much because that's kind of like it's a little bit of a risk too, because obviously you want the volume to do good, but at the same time, it's just kind of like it's a big commitment to something that you're not going to get any type of long-term benefits from. It's kind of like we're all in on this one thing. It's going to be different. It's going to be wacky. It's kind of worth the investment, but it's not going to really pay off afterwards, you know? So I think that lends a lot of I think that lends itself really well to the volume itself, because it very much feels like a different show. No, we're not talking about the crossover. We're talking about volume 9. But yeah, I don't know. I just I wanted to like bring note to that, because I haven't really talked about that all that much during the volume, and I feel like it's important to just acknowledge, because, you know, who knows if we'll see the Ever After again. We don't know what's going to happen in terms of like us leaving, if the Ever After is going to exist after we leave, or if it's going to be burned up like the book in the intro. I don't really know what the fate of this place or the characters in this place is going to be, or like Little and the cat and stuff like that. So hopefully, I don't know. It'd be kind of cool to see how things play out with the Ever After, like when the show is over, because like people know that place exists, but or at least Team RWBY does, and maybe you don't need to tamper with it, but yeah. Oh yeah, Aaron. Like the funny thing is too, like I only really kind of acknowledged it. Like I obviously knew, but like to like verbally mention it, it was actually brought up in conversation, just based on how different the volume felt. And like I think the thing that was brought up was like the toys. Like the toys are basically like the this volume's version of like the shaded black characters from volume 1, you know? So but like it fits in the world, but it's so different. It's like you would think these toys are out of place, but it's really Team RWBY when you look at them, that like they're the ones that are out of place. So yeah, I don't know. It's crazy too. Like everything, the only assets that are being reused for this volume are Team RWBY, which is like, when you think about it that way, they pretty much remade everything. They like remade the show technically, because I assume there's a lot of reused assets from volume to volume, even with the like scaling of their programs and stuff like that. So yeah, and even the tiny versions. I love how the tiny versions have their own credits too. It's like, it's not Weishni, it's Tiny Weishni. So but yeah, I really liked how things turned out with this episode. I actually didn't watch this episode's roundup discussion for chapter 5. I actually haven't watched the last 2. I've been like super busy this week. I have so we're doing RWBY today, and then I have a sponsored stream tomorrow for Honkai Star Rail, the new game that's coming out by HoYoverse. I'm doing that tomorrow morning, fucking 7 o'clock in the morning. So I have to actually go to bed at a reasonable time. So I'm doing that tomorrow. And then Saturday is RWBY, which I feel like the internet's going to implode. And then Sunday I'm doing like something with Genshin. So yeah, I have like a really busy schedule. And then I have taxes to do on Monday. I'm gonna be a busy bee, I'll tell you. But yeah. Anyways, thank you guys all for tuning in. This is a really fun, really exciting episode I want to get into. So thank you guys all for joining. Like I said, oh, also we have some super chats. I will be reading those. Sorry, I got caught up in my own conversation. But yeah, this is going to be the discussion for volume 9, chapter 5. And let me get through these and then we'll jump in. So Gordon Lai, thank you for the $10 super chat. Secretly, the blacksmith / armor. Secretly, the blacksmith / armorer that RWBY talks to can make Mondo armor from Star Wars. I've never seen Star Wars, so I'm sorry. I unfortunately don't get that reference, but hopefully someone in chat does. Appreciate it. Thank you. Warlordish, thank you for the $5 super chat. Hey Arnold, seeing you were live got me really excited after a really rough week. Oh, thank you. Well, I'm happy to hear that. Hopefully the conversations go well, and thank you for your very first super chat. Appreciate it. Trappy Plays, thank you for the $10 super chat. Hey Arnold, do you think the Jaune thing could be like Spider-Gwen in Spider-Verse? I haven't seen Spider-Verse. So what's so funny, guys, is whenever we have RWBY discussions in my Discord, there's always topics like this brought up where someone compares a different form of media to RWBY, and I'm always the first person that's like, yeah, I don't get that reference. I haven't seen it. And then like it happened like last week, and one of my friends was like, Arnold, what do you do? What do you watch besides RWBY and Genshin? And I'm like, what do you want from me? Okay, I live a simple life. Okay. I don't, there's not a lot of things in this world that I need to make me happy. But yeah. So, I'm expecting that to be a reference that would make sense had I had the context to it. As I was typing, I was wondering if you had, yeah. I mean, I have a lot of thoughts and opinions on like what happened to Jaune in particular, so hopefully I can still get that across even if I don't get the reference you mentioned. When are your when are your okay, Isaiah Edwards, thank you for the $10 super chat. When are your erased reactions coming out? So there's a bit of a predicament going on YouTube and Patreon right now when it comes to anime reactions, which has kind of given me a bit of pause at the moment for like how I want to go about doing that. I'm just kind of seeing how things develop, but at the same time I'm waiting for maybe like a couple more weeks before I decide how to go about doing my supplementary content. I kind of want RWBY to like be almost done before I transition, because I don't want RWBY to like hostile take over the things that I want to do. So I'll probably start doing like anime stuff like 1 or 2 weeks before RWBY ends, so that way it can kind of get into the mix and like transition out of RWBY and into the other stuff that I want to do. So that's all I can say right now. But yeah, there's like a bunch of stuff going on right now for like anime content in particular, so I'm just kind of waiting and seeing like what I like, if that's going to affect me at all when I start it. But yeah, anyways, thank you guys all for the support. Thank you guys for tuning in. Thank you for the super chats, I appreciate it. We are going to start the discussion, so let me do this real quick. Okay, there we go. Cool. Alrighty. So quick thoughts before we jump in. What did you guys think of the episode? Like overall, like out of 10, what would you guys give this episode? I would actually say this early part, while it does make sense for it to be a transition out of like the last episode into the next one, I felt like the episode got better as it went on. Like, I feel like the weakest point of the episode was at the starting point. Like, I feel like every episode has also kind of started the same after, I think episode 3, 4, and 5 kind of started similarly, where like they're all kind of like walking through, talking about stuff, and then transitioning into the next scene. Not to say it's bad, I'm just, you know, it's just something that I noticed. But I definitely think as the episode went on, it just got better and better. But yeah. 8.5101. Oh wow, you got into RWBY last year, Nathaniel. That's awesome. It's always interesting to me, at least. I feel like if you've been like, I always wonder how someone recently would get into RWBY now. Like, my mindset is like, oh, people that are watching RWBY have always been watching RWBY. It's very odd for me to think about how someone would get into RWBY with all of the volumes that are currently out, and just like how that would happen. Like, just I like, just out of curiosity, I'm like, okay, how would you stumble across RWBY after all these years, you know? But yeah, it's just, you know, because I've been watching since the colored trailers. I started watching when the yellow trailer came out. I actually saw a tweet, because like there's like this trend going on Twitter right now where like you ask a question with the freaking penguins of Madagascar or whatever, and you know, it's I've been seeing it all over Twitter, and so I saw one today and I was gonna respond, but I was getting ready for the stream, and it was like, how did you get into RWBY? And I got into RWBY from the yellow trailer. I walked in my brother, I walked into my brother's room, and he was watching the yellow trailer, and it was my birthday. It came out June 2nd, 2013 was when the yellow trailer came out, and he was watching it on Crunchyroll on his Xbox 360, and I thought it was a video game. When I was like, oh, what game is that? And he's like, it's not a game, it's an anime. And I was like, wait, what? And then I saw Monty's name, and I had seen like Dead Fantasy, so I was like, oh shit, this is gonna be fire. And then I just binged the colored trailers. I watched them on loop for like a month until episode 1 came out, and the rest was history. I also watched all of volume 1 on my Xbox through Crunchyroll during volume 1. And after volume 1, I became a first member. And then I've been a first member from, and then I was a first member from Volume 2 to recently when they announced that it would be going back to Crunchyroll. So I'm kind of back where I started with which is like, for me at least, I didn't feel some type of way about RWBY going to Crunchyroll because that's where I started RWBY. So I always found it funny how it kind of went back there and everyone was like, "What? It's going to Crunchyroll?" Like as if it was never always there. It's just there exclusively. So I like the option is no longer there for people who wanted to watch it on the RT website. But yeah, that's my like short end of it. You know, the short and the short and long end of it for how I got into RWBY. But I just wonder like how someone, like, you know what I mean? It's like me with RWBY. Like, I got into RWBY after Volume 3, but it was really because of RWBY that I wanted to see like the show that came before it. But like, that's a very specific like reason to watch a show. Like, usually you want to watch a show because you're interested in the show itself, but I didn't care much for RWBY. I just wanted to watch RWBY to see what paved the way for RWBY, because that's the show that I was more invested in. And you know, so like even something like that, I didn't get into RWBY for RWBY's sake. I got into RWBY because of RWBY's sake. But yeah, I don't know. I got kind of sidewinded by that comment, but I'm just always curious about how people get into RWBY nowadays. Even some people that I've met like online, I know a lot of people that got into RWBY because of me, like from my channel or because I talk about it on Twitter. And you know, there are some people that watched me for Genshin and they heard that I watch RWBY and then they watch it and now they watch RWBY. So I've definitely gotten like a decent sized amount of people into the show, which is great. But yeah, overall, it's always nice to see more and more people get into the show, even after it's been out for years. You know, I feel like it's never too late. You know. Julia Spite, welcome back. Thank you for the $20 super chat. A guy I used to date first introduced me to RWBY. I binge watched RWBY on Valentine's Day. The whole time I was eating Valentine's chocolate and caramel popcorn. My love for the show lasted My love for this show lasted longer than my relationship. Hey, look at that. You could say you found a second love. That's an interesting story, I will say. Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. It's just fun to. I also like to think about like where I was in my life when RWBY came out, which was a very different place than now, for better and worse. Like, I was definitely in a completely different era, but I don't know. It's just great to just kind of see how I've grown and evolved along with the show in my own way. So, actually, you know what? Let me ask this question and then we'll start. What volume was out when you started watching RWBY? Obviously, if you started it from day one, you can just say, you know, day one or something like that. But I'm always curious to see people who joined late. Like, how late into the volume did you start? I feel like a lot of people also really got into RWBY during, like, post Volume 4. Like, the Volume 3 hype really put a lot of people onto it. Oh, wow. We have a lot of Volume 4s, actually. 6? Okay. Interesting. Wow, we have some Volume 7s. Wow. I feel bad for the person who got into RWBY during Volume 8 and then they went on a 2-year hiatus. like that's actually pain to just be like, oh man, I caught up to this awesome show. I've been watching it week to week as it was releasing and I can't wait for the next volume. And then they come to, and then they just get nothing for 2 whole years. Meanwhile, the rest of the community has gotten RWBY year over year for the past, like, 6. But yeah, I started watching RWBY when I was in middle school. I'm 22 now. Oh my God. Don't remind me, dude. Don't remind me. Yeah, I was, damn, man, it's been so long. Yeah, I was already out of high school when I started RWBY. Or when RWBY came out, I should say. When did Volume 1 come out? It officially, with Episode 1, it came out, I believe it was July 2013. Yeah. I don't remember the date specifically, but it definitely released July 2013 following RTX. So, it's been a hot minute. Back in those days, we had 4-minute episodes and nobody complained. Now, if your episode isn't half an hour long, I don't, you get roasted for it on twitter.com. Nah, people definitely complained about the short runtime back in the day. That's why they buffed it up in Volume 2. They're like, all right, Volume 2, 12-minute minimums. God, the glow up between Volume 1 and 2 was so good. Like, I think I'm getting way off tangent. By the way, welcome to the stream if this is your first time here. This usually happens. But, like, I think the biggest glow up moments for RWBY, for me, was Volume 1 to... I think Volume 1 to 2 had a bigger glow up than Volumes 2 to 3, personally. Yeah, I actually think Volume 1 to 2, like, I was actually, like, blown away by how much better Volume 2 looked. And I think it's because, like, I feel like it's because, like, they got rid of the shadow people and just, like, the shading was a lot better for the characters. And then I think it happened again with Volume... I would say Volume 4, but I'll be honest with you, Volume 4, like, the models, like, obviously it was, like, a transitional period, so, like, I don't feel like Volume 4 was the strongest that the characters looked after they went all in on Maya. I think they hit their peak with Volume 4. I'm sorry, I think they hit their peak in Volume 5. I think Volume 5 was what they were ultimately going for Volume 4, but they had to, like, get there over time. I always think of the Weiss character short. Like, Weiss's character short was, like, visually, like, the best thing out of Volume 5 of the character shorts that had come out. And then I think Volume 6 was, like, peak. Yeah, I would say for me, I would say Volume 1 to 2 improvement, and then Volumes 5 to 6 was like substantially, like, improved. Yeah, Volume 4 was just a transition, like a transitional period, so I'll give it a pat. Like, you know what I mean? For me, at least, I give that kind of, like, I would overlook that, because anything that you're transitioning into isn't going to be the best when you're learning something as you're using it. But yeah. Yo, William Pendragon, welcome back, my dude. Thank you for the $100 super chat. Jesus Christ, we appreciate that. Thank you, thank you. My soul faded and diminished, yet I persist silent and vigilant. I must say the stories through. I must see the story through to the very end. For my brothers and sisters who fell alongside me, our sacrifice will not be in vain. This has been the ghost of Private William Pendragon of the 31st Brigade. Damn, dude. You got a scroll in the ever after? What's going on? We know that those apparently work. But thank you so much. Good to see you again. Dex, thank you for the super chat. Think about this, Arnold. RWBY Volume 1 was around the same time. Wait, was around the same year the first season of Attack on Titan aired. What's funny about that is I remember that because I was making YouTube videos around that time. I actually made my YouTube channel before RWBY started. I didn't make it with RWBY in mind. I didn't start covering RWBY until episode 8 of Volume 1 was the first RWBY thing I ever did on my channel. And I was doing reviews during volume 1 and 2. I didn't start doing reactions until volume 3 because by then reactions were kind of like a staple on YouTube. I actually did reactions during volume 2, but I ended up deleting them because I got copyright claims back in the day because like the music, but I thought a copyright claim was the same thing as a strike, and I like panic deleted my videos because I didn't want my channel to get deleted, even though Rooster Teeth was fine with reactions back then. I just didn't know better. But yeah, I did a reaction to the finale and the penultimate episode with fucking Uplek and Zwei, the Uplek Zwei combo. That shit was so hype. But yeah. Anyways, okay, I promise, chat. Let's get on track, okay? No more distractions. All right, so the episode opens up, and I love how they immediately acknowledge the freaking... how Herb just got swallowed up by the void. And I'm glad that they mentioned that in the episode. I actually really liked how the exposition was given this episode. I like how they poked fun at how, like, yeah, exposition is so boring, and the way it's delivered is kind of like over the top and mundane, and no one really likes it. But I actually think this volume, I feel like they've nailed how they've delivered the exposition on the world. Because I think about how I think and compare how exposition has been delivered in previous volumes, right? Sitting in a room, just talking and giving exposition in a very like static and boring way. But like this episode, I actually was really interested in what the cat was saying, because it wasn't just me listening to a cat talk. Like, they were going through the lake and they were talking about a bunch of different stuff. And even when they got to like the market area, like even talking beyond that, I was like, oh, I really hope he like goes as in depth as possible. So yeah, exactly. They were I mean, you can't really show. I mean, they showed us, and now they're telling us. Whereas in the past, they usually told us and either showed us or didn't show us. You know what I mean? It was kind of like a 50-50 if they would show what they're telling. But now, but also they were walking and talking. So I just feel like it was far more dynamic and much more interesting. I could listen to what the cat was saying and see the scenery, and it just felt more like entertaining and exciting. So I actually really appreciated and enjoyed how the exposition has been given, because I feel like I know about the Ever After, and I'm just like, wow, I almost don't remember. Like, it's exciting to learn about the Ever After, because it doesn't feel like you're just being crammed all this boring information. You know, it's given in a pretty dynamic way. So yeah, and the cat in this bit here is just being super cheeky. He's like, you know, yes, no, but yes, but also maybe, kind of, sort of, if you're like Alex, but I guess you're not. But then again, maybe you are. And I'm just like, bro, this cat's a fucking troll, dude. But I don't know. I just liked how wordy he was with the group. And this kind of got me a little worried. I was like, is he actually going to talk about what happened, or is he just going to be super vague about everything up until the point where you just dump all of the lore on us at once? But super entertaining. I love this location too. I love how bright and vibrant and colorful this place is. And you know what's actually funny, I'm noticing too, we were just talking about like assets and like reusing assets for previous volumes, and I'm looking at how many times they've used like the same fungi for like this shot in particular. Obviously it's for the forest scene, it makes sense to do that, and I'm just thinking, I'm like, this is the only time those fungi are ever going to be used this much in the show. I'm just thinking, I'm like, these fungi are never going to be used again. So I'd litter the fuck out of these things. I'd give them all of the freaking spotlight I could. You know, if I'm making assets for one volume, I'm definitely going to flex as much of it as I could. So I'm just noticing that now. I'm like, I see a lot of the same ones, and I'm like, you know what? I'd do the same thing if I were them. So yeah, the transition out of the last episode into this one, I liked the reaction that everybody had to the to like Herb just getting swallowed up in the ground. Weiss, I love how they've kind of like released, she has like no restraints this volume, and I love it. I feel like, I mean, I love it, but I'm also kind of like worried because I feel like that's like everyone's kind of expressing themselves differently to everything that's happened to them, and Weiss is just kind of like unhinged. She's like, mask off, I'm pissed off and I want you to know about it. So like Weiss has been a little angry. She's been big madge the entire volume, and every episode, man, and then at the end of the episode, she's just like depressed. She's like, everywhere I go, people just die and things get destroyed, and I'm like, it's almost like you're the protagonist of your own story. You know, it's almost like you have plot armor, but you also carry with you a cloud of unfortunate circumstances to everyone around you. It's almost like the plot demands it. But yeah, I love Weiss. I love how honestly she's just kind of done, and I feel like that is kind of like her element in some cases. Like, she is the serious one. She does have like that sweet side. She has that silly side, but it's not like overbearing. She's mostly kind of grounded out of all of, not out of all of Team RWBY, but she is grounded in general. So, but yeah, I just liked how she was the one that was like, you're giving us the freaking okie doke with this explanation, but you have to also understand that you're the one that got us in that. You're the one that was literally like, don't go running off talking to strangers now without me, but then you left us to meet with a stranger to talk to when you weren't around, and then you're like, oh man, it's so good that you guys are together and you guys are yourselves. And I'm like, well, if you never left us, and like, if you didn't have the attention span of a goldfish, we never would have been in this situation to begin with. So yeah, like Weiss is just like, can something go our way, please? But yeah, I love Weiss. I love how she's kind of like going about things. It makes sense, especially for how, you know, things have developed and whatnot from the start of this. Like, she didn't want to accept that they were in a book or in a fairy tale. She's kind of annoyed by that. And she's playing by the games of the world, and she's like, you know, things aren't happening the way they want, and so it's just one of them's gonna snap. And if it's gonna be Weiss, it's understandable. You know, Ruby's gonna be reserved. Blake is going to be, you know, very objective based about like trying to just stick to the code of the book. Yang's gonna be kind of carefree. So I feel like all of them are kind of acting appropriately. Chat, we need to have a talk. Has anybody grown suspicious of the cat this episode? I never want to like be like, okay, I need to start sussing him so when he betrays us, I can say I called it. But after this episode, I'm starting to think, so this is one of two things. On one end, I'm like, nah, it can't. The cat wouldn't. Why would the cat do that? You know what I mean? Like, why would the cat be sus? But I'm also wondering, because, okay, there's a little bit of meta to this, right? So, Cassandra Lee Morris is a voice actress, and she is very well known for voicing cats in, like, anything that she's done. She's voiced Morgana. I think she voiced, she's done like, she voices Morgana in Persona 5. She voices Yumi in League of Legends, who's a cat. I think she voices I think there's a cat in Madoka Magica. I think she voices for them. And so in my head, I'm like, okay, she's always the cat person. If she's ever getting a voice line, if she's ever, surprised they didn't give her this voice, to be honest. So in my head, I'm thinking, okay, who voices the cat in RWBY? Robbie Daymond. Who has he voiced in the past? From like, this is incredibly biased from my perspective. Akechi, who is very sketchy. And I'm just thinking, would they do that? Would they lean into Akechi? Would they lean into the cat being sus because of that? Also, he can change hearts, which is what a Phantom Thief does. And I'm like, if this fucking cat, and the thing is, nobody knows what happened to Alex, but the cat does. And the way that he said, like when Blake was like, well, she learned her lesson, didn't she? And he was like, I sure think so. That doesn't sound like something, it doesn't sound like she had the best ending. And he's the only one that seems to know what happened to her. And I'm gonna double down on this too, because he's very adamant that RWBY maintains her current, like the path that she's on. He wasn't, like, right, for Weiss, Blake, and Yang, he didn't try to deviate from what their path was. And maybe that's just like, oh, you know, he wants them to get out of here, or he wants them to see their true selves. But, like, he deliberately stopped Herb from misguiding RWBY. And in my head, I'm like, are you trying to set Ruby Rose on a specific path deliberately? Like, are you trying to lead her on a certain course that's beneficial to you? Or is it beneficial to her? You know, because why would the cat care how RWBY lives her life in the ever after or makes her choices in the ever after? Like, why RWBY? You know what I mean? I get it. It's for the plot. I get the plot. I get that, like, because the plot demands it. But, like, why would the cat stop RWBY and not Yang or Blake? You know what I mean? So in my head, I'm like, my initial thought process after this episode is, what are the cat's motives? What are the cat's intentions? Why is the cat helping them? You know? And so yeah. And especially after, oh my God, especially after, like, the cat, like the bird scene where he has the ability to change people's purpose. That's like messing with free will. That's messing with, like, the laws of this world, apparently. Where, like, if you lose your purpose, you go to the ever after, you return to the ever after, you get fucking you get Control Alt deleted, and then you get, like, built up again and you find a new purpose. But I wonder if the cat is, like, the overlord of this place, because the ever after returns you if you lose your purpose. But what happens if the cat changes your purpose? Well, I guess if he changes your purpose, you still have a purpose. It's just different from the one you originally had. But yeah, I don't know. I'm very sus of the cat after this episode. I don't know if it's because, like, I'm looking too much into it, but, like, at first I'm like, oh, cool, a new companion for the journey. But they're very different from Little. Little is like a companion on the journey. The cat is kind of like acting with intent. And so I'm just like, I'm like, bro, I don't know, man. So yeah, the cat is Salem. Damn, a bit of Salem's influence into the ever after. Oh man. But yeah, so I'm again getting off track here. So transitioning into this scene, really love the location of this water lily, like, tower with all the little like lily pads, like, moving on the water. And this is where the exposition is delivered, which is, again, I feel like really interesting. You see all of the other creatures, they're all moving towards the center here. And they kind of give the explanation of ascending, which is essentially if they break, if they, you know, get tired, if they lose their way, they are returned to the ever after, and they essentially, or if they complete their purpose, they return to the ever after, and they are basically reassimilated. So once you found your purpose, or so basically, so for example, right, in episode 3, when they went to the Red King's castle, and they did the board game, you know, the cat mentioned, like, oh, if you break them, you know, they may never come back, which implied that you could come back. But, you know, them being humans and them most likely not being from the ever after, they potentially can't return to a place they've never, like, they were never native of. So, I assume all of those guards that were killed off by Team RWBY in that fight got returned to the ever after and then reassimilated. and they potentially won't be knights anymore. They won't be game pieces. There's a chance that they could be, but I guess it's just kind of like you're allocated to wherever the ever after needs you. So I thought that was really interesting. Yeah, if you become purposeless, you instant reset. But if you break, or if you lose your, if you complete your purpose, it's like, okay, well, it's kind of like you lived your life's mission, and then you're reassigned a new mission, and so you return, and you might be a different person or whatever. So like any of these beings in the ever after, this could be like the umpteenth time that they've existed in a different form, which is super cool. Sounds like an exhausting circle of life. Yeah, it's kind of interesting too, because like it's literally like, it's not death. It's kind of like, again, it's the word they used was perfect. It's ascending. You know, you're not reincarnating. What's the word I would associate it more with? Not reincarnation, but like they're incarnations of who they, well, not even an incarnation, because they're like a completely different person too. They don't have memories of their previous life either. So yeah, I'd say ascending is the closest, is like the best term to use. Yeah, if you want to put it in like technical terms, like, yeah, it's like a hard reset. But I don't know, it's really interesting because it just, like, the world is kind of self-sustaining in that way. You don't need more or less people. You don't need to worry about like things like procreation or anything like that. Like, all the life that exists in this world is perpetual. Like, it'll never, the only time that would happen is if a jabberwocker were to eat them, which we learned about that too. And I like how the cat like lightly teased that too. He was like Weiss was like, oh, everything dies eventually, and he's like, well, there is a creature. Oh, I shouldn't say that. That's not polite to bring up in friendly conversations. So it's very interesting that there is something in the world that can end the process of ascension. Why that's in this world, it kind of directly conflicts. There's apparently only supposed to be one jabberwocker, which makes me wonder where it came from, why it has that purpose in the first place, and like who's really calling the shots in this place to begin with. Like, how is this world created? Who created it? For what purpose? For what extent? And if the jabberwocker wanted to go on a feasting frenzy and eat everything in the ever after, is there anything to keep it in check? You know what I mean? Is there anything to prevent the jabberwocker from just kind of going AWOL and kind of wreaking havoc on the ever after, you know? But yeah, so at least for this initial section here, I'm really happy that they explained Herb's situation, because it was like kind of left up. It's like, what the hell happened to him? I did mention last week, that like, I remember the cat mentioning, you're done. Like, he was like, Herb, you're done. You've lost your way. And then he fell into the earth. So I thought like it was very similar. Like, oh, he failed his mission. He failed his purpose. So he got claimed by the ever after. I just didn't know about this whole ascension thing. But yeah, it's kind of cool. And Herb also mentioned that too. He was like, I'm an herbalist until I'm not anymore. So it kind of seemed to him that he understood that he was doing what his purpose was, and he kind of strayed from that with Team RWBY, for whatever reason. Like, I don't really understand why. Actually, when I think about it more critically, I don't understand. Well, so is Herb supposed to just, was Herb supposed to like nudge RWBY in the right direction, but because he just let things play out with her kind of giving into her mental state? Like, Weiss, Blake, and Yang weren't in any type of, like, Weiss, Blake, and Yang kind of confronted their past and stayed true to who they were in the present. So I don't know what Herb was supposed to do with RWBY differently than like with them. You know what I mean? Because at that point, it's kind of like you're making RWBY's choice for her. Oh, was Herb supposed to give them a choice? Oh, well, I guess that makes sense. Yeah. He forced it on them. Yeah, I think that's what happened. Yeah, don't hotbox them. Yeah, that, because they tried leaving and he was like, nah, bitch. Yeah, that was a little extra of him. Yeah, I think that was the point of contention. Yeah. Okay, yeah, I understand that then. I thought it really came down to like RWBY's dilemma, and like, because the cat even was like, well, I guess that makes sense because it wasn't really up to her. She was being influenced. So yeah, that makes a bit more sense. But yeah, I love the location. I think it's really beautiful. Shout out again to RWBY. All of these assets are like one and done. Like, imagine that they made the entire show from the ground up, and then that's it. Like, none of these will be. So when you think about it, like volume 10 is really going to have either like its own type of upgrade in terms of like what they're doing differently for Vacuo and for that volume, but nothing from volume 9 is going to apply to volume 10 when you think about it, which is kind of wild that everything here, the lily pads, the all of the individual character designs, the cat, the soldiers, the toys, unless Little goes back, which I don't think is going to happen, like the Jabberwocker, all the stalls, like the environment, like everything, all of this stuff is just kind of like, yeah, we did this to kind of make volume 9 a bit extra. And I feel like they would have had to do something like this. Like, you can't really have any semblance of the remnant that we know, like the RWBY that we know, and the only way to do that is to essentially make a new show, which is what volume 9 is. So yeah, I don't know. I think that's like, I couldn't even imagine, you know? And they had, I don't know when they started volume 9, like working on it, but like between the show being worked on, which I assume was during maybe during or after volume 8, and like, you know, during quarantine and COVID and all that stuff. Thank God it saw the light of day, you know? It would have been a volume like this, especially. It's like, damn, bro, imagine doing an entire show and it's just kind of locked in stasis because of everything that happened, which is unfortunate. But yeah, when I think about it, I'm just like, you know, I feel like it's really easy to take for granted the volumes to volume progression, because all of that shit, you can reuse assets, character models, you're reusing the same characters as long as they don't need an outfit change. But yeah, it's kind of like you're doing a lot of heavy lifting for this one. It's almost like making volume 1 again. You know, you're just kind of making a different show. I think the only thing that's not touched is Team RWBY, which is like a good thing. But yeah. So again, loved this entire opening sequence. I thought the exposition was delivered perfectly, and it kind of carries on into how they explain. And again, I love how they explain the king too. So the first couple episodes, you're getting dumped all this information: the Red King, the Red Prince, Herb, like falling through the freaking world, and then like they're just kind of, and we're left to speculate on a few episodes what exactly happened to the king. What happened to Herb? And then in this episode, they give you like all of that, and it kind of ties into each other. So, and like they even foreshadowed it in the last episode with, oh, this is how a king becomes a knight. This is how a king winds up a prince. And then in this episode, he's like, okay, Herb ascended, and that's essentially what happened to the Red King as well. So I just think they've nailed exposition and explaining things and setting up to explain things, and they're not just immediately giving you answers. So yeah, I think that's like one of the best things that this volume has going for it, is just like they've learned, or they've improved, I should say, on those points, at least in my opinion. So yeah. We need to talk about this guy right here. Hawker, I love the names are really their purposes. Like, the bird's name is Hawker, and he's a street vending hawk. Like, he's a street hawker, which is basically someone who goes around trying to sell their wares to people on the street. Like, yo, it's like, you know, try our mud cookies. They're delicious. You know what I mean? Like, and And it's funny how often you hear him in your ear the entire, like, during this entire sequence. Like, this fucker's literally just mud cookies. Try them. They're the best. You won't, you know what I mean? It's just like, damn, I almost want to buy the cookies so he just shut the hell up and leave me alone. So I just really liked how he was just kind of living his purpose in the, like, this is his purpose, to sell mud cookies in the ever after. That's that's what this man was born to do, and he's doing a great job with it. This also reminds me of my childhood, because I remember as a kid, you know, I mean, I feel like every kid maybe might have this, but like when me and my sister and my little brother were younger, we used to like play in the mud when we were kids, and we did the exact same thing. We weren't like, you know, we weren't like venturing entrepreneurs or anything, but like playing with mud, making mud pies, and, you know, just pretending. I was just like, damn, bro, like this took me back a little bit. So yeah, I wanted to give a shout out to this guy, because there are implications in this episode. And I guess I'll talk about it right now. Do you guys think Hawker is actually dead? Like, technically, Neo created clones of the Jabberwocker. So that would imply that, like, the rules state that you have to be eaten by a Jabberwocker in order to not ascend. So, are they still classified as Jabberwockers if they're clones of Neo's semblance? You know what I mean? Like, or is the world treating her clones like the real thing? Or the real Jabberwocker is among the clones and it still got eaten? You know? You can hear him, I know you can hear him scream, but that doesn't mean, let me rephrase the question. Do you think he'll ascend? Because if he dies, you can die in the ever after. But do you think he will ascend? Do you think he'll be reincarnated? And if you think he does, if you say no, do you think that Neo's clones of the Jabberwocker are the real thing? Do you think those are real? Do you think the world treats them like real Jabberwockers because of her semblance? Because I guess it's impossible to know. We'll never know. But it's just interesting to see where y'all's heads are at. Because there would be two schools of thought. You would either think, well, Neo's clones are semblances, is through her semblance, therefore they are not classified as Jabberwockers, therefore he will ascend. Or you would think, no, the world treats them like the real thing. They walk like Jabberwockers, talk like Jabberwocker, attacks like it, and so the world treats it as if it's the real deal. And thus he would not ascend. But yeah, I was freaking, I could not believe that was a clone. When Yang destroyed the Jabberwocker clone and it like turned into like the pink the pink mist or whatever, I couldn't believe it. I was like, I did not think her clones were that sophisticated. Where they like Blake's clones, like they're there for like half a second. The second you attack it, it literally vanishes. Sun's, he has to stand still, but as long as he's maintaining his aura, they won't break down until they get like attacked or whatever. But her clones were interacting as if they were real. So yeah, I think that's, I did not think that her semblance was that amplified from the ever after, or evolved to the point where they're basically like the real deal. You know, even Naruto shadow clones don't have it that good. Those things get hit once, they poof. So yeah, I was thinking that too. I was wondering if it was because she resonates with the ever after, similar to RWBY. Or rather, the ever after is like feeding into her emotions because she's like so pissed off at she's pissed off at Cinder and RWBY, and she just wants to have some type of control. Also, before we get any further, Rooster Teeth. I do want to say something though. This shot here aged like milk, I'll tell you. Right? The rooster, the teeth, rooster teeth. It's in the bottom shot right here, as they're like walking by talking about the exposition. And the reason that this aged like spoiled milk is because Rooster Teeth literally rebranded their logo yesterday. And it's not a Rooster Teeth. It's something, I'll tell you that. But it is not a rooster with teeth at all. And yeah. I'm just thinking, I'm like, did nobody know about that change when they were making this volume? Obviously not, it was like 2 years ago, but like, damn, bro. Yeah, they changed their branding, they changed their logo, and it's like, it's a logo. It's the most logo I've ever seen of all time. And I'll just leave it there. It's just, I don't know, it's so simplified. It just lacks any type of, I don't know, personality. Like, I didn't think there was anything wrong with their previous one, but I don't know. Nimble Fox, the Grogurt Parfait worked on it, so I imagine it treated it like the real thing. Oh, yeah, okay. Well, I don't really know if that applies at all, because I'm, you know, like, well, I guess, I don't know. I actually have no idea. Like, the rules of this world do not apply in the same way that we think they would on Remnant when it comes to semblances versus real people versus magic and all that other stuff. So, you know, I guess we got to take it for what it's worth. Tony Batiste, thank you for the super chat. First of all, sup Arnold. Second of all, Neo literally went like shadow clone jutsu. Oops, I mean pain. Yeah, she's and she hasn't even really been present at all. Like, she just sent her minions. She wasn't even there, I don't think. So, and I don't know what her angle is either. I don't know what she's trying to do in terms of is she just trying to cause a bunch of chaos? It seems like she did this to kind of get through to RWBY, because she knows, you know, it's like just attack the girls and, you know, RWBY's among them. Just get all of them together, you know? So, yeah. I have a bachelor's degree in graphics design, and that physically hurt me. I'm sorry. I'm sorry you had to suffer. Oh, man. But yeah, so kind of returning to the conversation, I would say, I liked this. Again, exposition was delivered beautifully. It was super entertaining. The cat's like walking and talking and moving and grooving. You got the music, dude, the music of this shot, like the music of this entire scene was chef's kiss. Super, like, I was noticing a lot of the musical transitions throughout the episode as well. And I just thought, I don't know, I just thought the whole thing was just very well done. They were talking about the king, which again was a reference point from a previous episode, which we didn't have full clarification on. They gave us the tease of it in the last episode, and then to just finally get it delivered now. They gave enough time for the community to have their own level of speculation. They reinforced that with giving us like a little, like, you know, a little crumb in the last episode, which kind of confirmed our suspicions, and then they confirmed it now. So for someone that theorizes and like has these discussions talking about like breaking down the episode, it was satisfying that they gave enough time for us to have our moment to kind of engage with it, and then they followed it up with kind of confirming our suspicions or confirming our theories or analyses or whatever the case might be. And just gave clarification, because we didn't really understand why he went from a kind king to like kind of like a rude, bratty kind of prince. And at the end of the day, he's supposed to win. And when he loses, he realizes that, okay, if I can't win through being like, if I can't, so at that point he gets, as he ascends, he gets reassimilated, and he's like, if I can't win the right way, I'm gonna win the wrong way, because at the end of the day, I have to win, you know? So it makes a lot of sense. And he harbors the L that he took from Alex. That's why he's salty. So even if he doesn't remember, he holds in his heart, I fucking hate humans because I know I lost to one in a previous life. So he's still holding that L to this day. And I think that's really clever. The heart very rarely forgets. So that's why that's why the hatred, like, he's carrying the L and he's like passing it on to Team RWBY. And he's like, I have to win no matter what. And does that mean the king, wait a minute, does that mean he's gonna ascend again? Because he lost again, which means he failed his purpose. Oh, I just thought of that. So oh my God. He's gonna come back as the Red Queen this time. Right? So he's gone through the king phase, he's gone through the prince phase, now he's got to go through the gender bend. He's got to go, he's gonna be a baby at this point. The red infant. Well, no, you can't. Come on, man. So what you're basically saying is the next person that comes to the Ever After and they play the game is going to be like taking candy from a baby? You really want that you want him to get ascended 3 times? Oh my God. That would be absolutely hilarious. Yeah. Oh my God. I didn't think about that. But yeah, he should ascend again, which means we'll either never see him again, or if we ever go back to the castle and there's a different person there, it would make sense why. And God, that'd be so sick. I really hope we go back there just to see that specifically, to see if that comes true, because that would be so awesome. Yeah, same with the raccoon. Technically, yeah, the raccoon was, I guess his purpose was to just peddle off like false goods. And when he realized it's a fake, it's like, oh shit, I have to give back my hugs and the Ever After's coming for my ass. See, that's the thing too. The thing too about the Ever After is you can't escape it. So if you know, like, oh my God, I wonder if anyone, they must have no self-aware. Do they even have the self-awareness to know that if they fail their purpose, they're going to return and ascend and be kind of like repurposed? I wonder if anyone here like lives on eggshells with that notion of like, I better not fuck this up, because if I do, I'm gonna, like, it seems like everyone's just accepting of it, but I wonder if there's anyone here that's just like living with like what's the word I'm looking for, like it has like existential dread of just making sure they don't mess up. Yeah, I guess their memories get wiped, so they don't remember who they previously were. But if they know that that's a concept in the Ever After, I wonder, what if they like what they're doing? You know what I mean? They're just like, I don't want to mess up. And then here comes the main protagonist ruining everything for everyone. When you think about it, actually, chat, when you think about it, everyone that Team RWBY's come in contact with has to have ascended at this point. Like, everyone that Team RWBY has gone through the story with has failed in their purpose. And so, oh my God. No wonder Jinxie's older than he was in the book. It wasn't because he aged, it was because he needed to get smarter. So that way, because like Alex got her dagger back. I don't know, man. He's like, okay, we need to make this Jinxie peddler smarter. Let's make him older and therefore wiser. He probably did just age. I don't know. After noticing how the king becomes a prince, I feel like the aging process might actually be just a process of ascending. Like, you don't age, you ascend, and therefore you change your age. Like, your age changes with you, you know? Does aging even happen here? They don't die, so what's the purpose of aging in the Ever After? There's not even any humans here. Like, I think that only applies to humans, because, you know, they're from the quote-unquote real world. But, like, these are, like, toys and, you know, things made of wood and whatnot. Jaune ages, but that's because Jaune's a human being. You know, it's just a natural process of being a human. But these are all, like, toys and inanimate objects and whatnot. He mentions people can wear out, which is pretty much aging. I guess that's true. I just can't picture one of these toys getting old. They like waddle. They're made of plastic. Yeah. Wear and tear over time. Yeah, that's true. That is true. Yeah, I guess it would work out the same way. Like, realistically, I don't think Jinxie would have ascended with Alex because he did what he was meant to do. The thing is, Team RWBY exposed what he was doing, and that's where I think his purpose failed. He wasn't able to jinxily peddle those people anymore. So Jinxie definitely ascended. The Prince lost the game again. Hold that L 2 times in a row. The 2-time, they're ascended. Herb kind of went overboard with hotboxing Team RWBY. They're ascended, and I'm just like, I hope there's no new characters being added because we're literally never seeing them again. The reason why this volume's a one and done, they're like, okay, we're gonna make, dude, that makes it even, oh my god, that makes it even worse. That makes it so much worse for RWBY that they literally made these characters for one episode. And now they're gone. Oh my god. Bro, I can't believe. Oh man. I'd like to think y'all enjoyed the process of just seeing your work be like come to life, but at the same time, I'm like, I don't know. I hope the volume is just very cathartic to just see all that work come together. You know, I love the Red Prince's design. That's like one of my, like, dead ass. That's like one of my top 5 favorite designs in the entirety of the show. And so I don't like, they're in one episode. That's gonna always be held in high regard as like one of my favorites because of that character and that design. Even if it's one episode, it left a lasting impact. See, here's the thing, chat. Theory time. Volume 9, Chapter 5, theory time. Little doesn't have a name. Little doesn't have a purpose. Every character that Team RWBY has met in this volume so far has failed in their purpose and has been instantly ascended. The Red Prince lost the game. Jinxie Peddler got freaking called out, got exposed. And Herb kind of hotboxed them and kind of went overboard. I guarantee you that Little will succeed in whatever their purpose is by the end of the volume, and Little will ascend in the last episode. Or in this volume, they'll ascend before Team RWBY goes back to the Ever After. And it's sad because ascending is almost seen as like a form of death in a way. Like you're no longer who you were. So like in that regard, it almost feels like, you know, you die. Or a part of you dies and a new part of you begins. And what did we say before, chat, too? We also mentioned that, like, Little kind of represents hope for RWBY. I feel like Little is gonna, you know, Little Hope. So, like, if Little gets the name Hope and then, like, gives RWBY hope, they will have succeeded in their purpose and will then be allowed to ascend. You know, because that's their whole purpose right now, is trying to help RWBY get home. And so if they succeed and Team RWBY goes back, Little will also ascend. And I guess that'll be great, but Little will be Little won't be so little anymore. Oh man. Yeah, Little's gonna ascend and be they're gonna get a new purpose. They're gonna just be big. They're gonna be able to pull the cheese out of the ground themselves now. Oh man. Yeah, that's another interesting thing to think about too, is what was Little a previous ascension, you know? And like, did Alex ever ascend? And if she ascended, is she still here in a different form? Is Alex Little? Is Alex the jackalope? Is Alex the jabberwocker? The way that the cat I will never be able to get over the fact that the cat saying, when Blake mentioned, oh, did Alex learn her lesson? And the cat's like, I certainly think so. That's so ambiguous, because it's like, it's all about interpretation. You could be like, oh, you know, she did the right thing. You know what I mean? She learned a valuable lesson in the end. Or did she learn a lesson that isn't very beneficial to her? Like, she learned a lesson the hard way. You know what I mean? So I really think that, like, I don't know, man. I really feel like there's a potential or a chance that Alex exists in the world, but if she ascends, if that even applies to her, because she's not even from the Ever After, if that applies to her, I mean, she could still exist for all we know. Again, she could be Little, she could be the Jabberwockers, she could be something else entirely. Yeah. Huh. I had a thought. I don't know if it applies. This is like a crack theory thought. But like, remember how when the volume started and I was mentioning how Little had a lot of parallels to Penny? How Little was referred to as a friend to RWBY, and how what else did I mention? I mentioned the friend bit, and I mentioned something else. I forgot the other thing that I mentioned. Oh, the hugs. She mentioned that, like, hugs are very valuable, and like Penny's first like instinct as a human was to hug all of her friends and have that like warm sensation. Penny's body did fall into the Ever After, but I don't know if that would apply, because she's dead, and therefore, and she also transferred her soul that had the maiden soul to Winter. But like, also, it would also have to imply that Little didn't exist before Volume 9 happened. But then again, they wouldn't remember. They wouldn't know. They would just be born, and their purpose is to grab cheese for their village. But if Penny's body fell... Basically what I'm getting at is, if Penny's body fell into the Ever After, and that applies, that is enough to work with for the Ever After, I wonder if the Ever After ascended Penny to become Little. And because they lose their memories, because they don't have any type of connection to who they previously were, it almost kind of is like Penny ascended in a way. Like, again, headcanon, crack theory, but like, I wonder if that would apply. And because the heart rarely forgets, Little understanding the value of friendship and understanding the value of hugs is the ascended feelings of what Penny had when she was who she was before she died. You know what I mean? Copium? Hey, I'm just saying, dude. I was making the Penny connections before this whole ascension nonsense happened, okay? So if that applies, if that happens, I was ahead of the curve. And guess what? And if it's not, it works as a great little crack theory. And actually, if I make a video about this, maybe we can make this canon, boys. Who's with me? All right, I'm trying to have a little Penny redemption moment. Okay, she needs to. We need, you know, it's not a big deal. And best case scenario, little helps Penny. I'm saying little helps RWBY out in the end. So it's kind of like Penny's, you know, still lives on, and or her will lives on in some way. They're not bringing back the original Penny. It's not her original memories anymore, anything like that. So in a way, I'm okay with that. But yeah, so, you know, Penny had to die for Little to help RWBY out of the Ever After. And then if Little ascends after completing that objective, then it's the best of everything, because the next ascension will be their true existence outside of the plot. So in a way, Penny lives on in spirit. So I really, really like that. You know, it doesn't impose on what's already established for Penny in the past. It's not bringing up, and it's not acknowledging it to anyone in the present. Like, she's not like, yeah, RWBY, it's me, it's Penny, I'm a mouse now. You know what I mean? You know, like, I don't know. I like it enough as a crack ship, for a crack theory, for it to work out. Yeah, it's just a theory, though. It's a RWBY theory. Anyways, let's carry on. Long story short, really great conversations we're having, but I do like how everything here kind of works together with giving us the exposition in a really interesting way. Okay, let's see. So again, Rooster Teeth, spoiled milk. All right, let's move on. Also, I don't know if Penny liked to sleep a lot, but I mean, if that adds to the theory, then by all means go for it. But little sleeps just a little too much, you know. The second Little was like, onward, I was like, you're about to fall asleep, aren't you? And then the yawn came, and then next thing you know, she's sleeping in RWBY's hood. So Penny never got a chance to sleep. I just mean, like, I don't know, as like a robot. Did she, I don't know, I guess she just, did she have to like recharge her batteries or something? I don't know. But, okay, so let's see. Okay, so this is the scene with the ingredients. So they had to make so now they're moving towards the Grogurt parfait. So I guess, like, was RWBY never gonna make them the Grogurt parfait? Like, was RWBY able to make it on his own with those ingredients? Because couldn't they have just made, like, if the cat knew how to make the Grogurt parfait, I guess the cat was always gonna bring them here. I guess the cat getting distracted and them showing up at the house, like, RWBY was like, you can make us a Grogurt parfait, right? And he's like, ugh. So I don't know if Herb was the stop that they were trying to go to. I think they were always planning on coming here. Yeah, because Herb never said he could. Herb was just like, I got other plans for you. Let's get high. Like, Herb was actually acting up, bro. I thought at some point, he was like, I don't know. He's like, I'm here to help you on your purpose. You know, I'm here to help you get back on track. But, yeah, so I guess the cat was always willing to bring them here. I guess the Herb was just like a little detour. So yeah, so they need like a bunch of like random mythological ingredients. The leprechaun nose hairs was the last thing that they needed here. So this transitional point was nice. I also like how they went with the cat, because I was kind of sus that the cat was off screen a lot. So that was when, like, I started thinking about, like, okay, I actually went back and watched all the points in time where the cat left to go do whatever. But so Team RWBY, like Weiss, Blake, and Yang, rather. Weiss, Blake, and Yang going with the cat just kind of quelled my sus suspicions, at least for right now. So that was nice. And then Little went with RWBY, so that was really great too. I really liked how this dark scene transitioned also. Hold on. Yeah, she's just walking through. Also, so the reason I like this is because it was just a nice way to transition into the next character, because the darkness was like, oh my god, what the hell is happening? And then you slowly start hearing the anvil and hammer noise. You start hearing like the clashing of metal. And I thought that was a really cool way of just and like, I think right before it finished, I was like, oh, the blacksmith. So I like picked up on, oh, we're getting the blacksmith scene now because of like because of how they used like the increased audio of the hammer and anvil. So I thought that was a really cool transition. Really liked this scene here. I saw the person that I forgot who did this scene, but they credited it on Twitter, and they were like, I did this scene, and I remember tweeting at them, and I was like, hello darkness, my old friend, because like the dark just starts like surrounding RWBY. So I thought it was just really funny to, I was just memeing on my comment, but I did see the animator who worked on that kind of, that I think this was also their first scene that they ever did for RWBY as well. I think they were like a recent animator for Volume 9, so I thought that was kind of neat. Yeah, RWBY's mental state made manifest. Yeah, this is like darkness is encroaching and approaching. It's like every freaking RWBY intro song ever. But we transition. This was such a sick ass scene, dude. This was such a dope freaking introduction to the not just the blacksmith, but the scene in general and everything that it kind of entailed was so good. It was Michael Evangelista. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't think I was following them, but like I think I saw like their tweet through somebody else liking it or something. But yeah, I thought that was I did comment I did comment that to them. Just I thought it was funny. But yeah, I think that's cool. But yeah, so Penny, so again, so this didn't happen. I think this happened. I think this was like a mental interaction here. But this place I don't think was in this entire sequence at all, especially because RWBY was like standing in one spot. So again, I don't know if like it's her mental kind of like collapsing in on her, and then she gets brought back in the moment. But yeah, it's like darkness within darkness at this point. No, I'm saying Little reacted to it, but I'm saying like this wasn't like a place that she walked into as she was looking for the leprechaun nose. Like when she snapped back to, the cat was like, who are you talking to? So like this clearly didn't physically happen. It was kind of like a mental exchange or a mental, I don't know. It's weird because Little did react to it, but like, I don't know. It was kind of like she was like transported, like she was like you know what this was? This was kind of like she just had like a dissociative moment here. She just completely dissociated where she was in that moment, and she just went somewhere else. And she had this exchange about identity and about a burden, and about relieving herself of that. It's very interesting how the world is constantly trying to change RWBY. Like it's trying to like it's like join, like one of us. It's kind of like that. Like they're just trying so hard to assimilate RWBY to being something else and just falling in line with like the ways of the ever after. You know, first it was with Herb's like drugs, and now this blacksmith too. I feel like this is again a different form of it, but she's like, you know, she meets up, she sees Penny's sword, she grabs it. So first off, Penny did summon like 10 of those swords when she was fighting Cinder, so this isn't the exact same one, but I mean, if the scene didn't happen, but like even if it did, this is not the same sword from like the Red King's like kingdom area. I could definitely see this being just another sword that was found and placed here. And I will talk about the weapon specifically in the next shot that I have set up here. But yeah, like she mentions like, oh, you know, you don't have a weapon, you don't have a sword, you're kind of doing this all by yourself, you have a guide, but I also notice you're carrying this rather large burden with you. And this is the character that RWBY was having the conversation with in the intro. Not in the intro, in the trailer. And so it seems like their purpose is to just kind of like forge paths for people in a way, because the way she tells RWBY, she was like, you seem to be carrying a rather large burden with you. And RWBY's like, I'm fine, I can handle it. And she's like, be that as it may, if you ever want to set down your burden and take up something else, grab any one of these weapons here. And I interpreted that as you can change who you are and you can become something else. Whatever weapon you grab on the wall, you will assume the role of that person's purpose or identity or whatever. That's how I interpreted it, at least. I don't know if that was accurate. I don't know if anyone else had the same interpretation. You know, but she was like, you can set your burden down and you can take up another one. And I found that interesting because also they're crafting what looks to be a butterfly wing, or a butterfly wing, which again, this whole butterfly implication is like metamorphosis, transformation, and they're trying to transform RWBY from who she is into something else, from a cocoon to a butterfly at this point. But or from a caterpillar to a cocoon, and then that transitional period, and then she becomes a new person, which is the butterfly. I thought this was very, very interesting because in this entire exchange with RWBY, first off, she doesn't have Crescent Rose, and weapons are an extension of yourself. Crescent Rose is just as much of RWBY as RWBY is of it, and she forged it herself. And all of her other teammates have their weapons. They know who they are. RWBY didn't have a weapon to defend herself against the jabberwockers. She didn't have a weapon to defend herself against her past self like her other teammates did with their weapons. And even in this moment, weapons are seen as a part of the wielder's identity. And even here, she doesn't have it. So she sees a reflection of Penny in Penny's weapon. And then there's a transitional moment, and then the sword becomes Alex's dagger, and then you see a reflection of Alex's dagger there. And obviously she doesn't have Crescent Rose. So the implication here is like, you don't have a weapon. You're carrying this burden. You can set that burden aside. You can pick up one of these other weapons, and you can kind of live a new life if you want. And so I feel like, again, it's one of those, it's just another form of identity of her changing who she is. And then, all the while, this top weapon here, this weapon at the top is pretty much stealing most of our eyes in terms of like what's interesting in this shot. This weapon in particular, whose weapon is that? Why is it constantly being showcased and whatnot? And then RWBY gets a close look at it, and I had my suspicions, but I didn't want to be that guy that was like, is that Summer? I didn't want to be like a Summer fucking, a Summer, I didn't want to like overthink about like a crack theory of like Summer that actually being Summer Rose's weapon. But I think that's Summer Rose's weapon. And, Espen has some explaining to do. I mean, maybe he does, maybe he doesn't, but like at the same time, there's no shot that this man didn't know. Because it implies that Summer was in the Ever After. Also, it kind of might imply that all three of these characters are dead. Right? Because you got Penny's reflection, Alex's reflection, Summer's reflection. What do all these three people have in common? They're not around anymore. Interpret that how you will. But, like, Alex is MIA, Summer's been MIA/dead since before the show, and Penny just recently died. So, But also it's like, in my mind, I'm like, how the fuck does it, this has to be symbolic. This can't be literal, because like, how would Summer's weapon being here, I don't know, man. Like, I really don't know what that would imply, because like the leading theory is that she became one of the hounds of like Salem turned her into a hound. But then it's like, well, how would she ever have been here for her weapon to be left behind? Crescent Rose's weapon's also left behind too. So what this could be implying is that weapons of people who have changed from the Ever After, their weapons are left behind. So for example, if RWBY were to change her identity, Crescent Rose is out there in the world somewhere, and that weapon will eventually be found and brought back here and hung up on the wall for the next person who comes in and decides that they want to be something else. And so I don't know, man. Like, Summer Rose is like the last thing that I thought. I really wonder if, I don't know if this should be taken super literally. Like, maybe this is just another part of RWBY's psyche, kind of like reminding her of something that has been unresolved within her to like talk about or resolve when it comes to like why she's a huntress or anything like that. Clearly the weapon itself is reminiscent of that. But think about it this way too. You know, Penny dying is weighing on RWBY's mind. So her seeing the weapon could be a manifestation of that. Like her grieving, coming to terms with it, etc. And then she sees Alex's dagger, which is kind of like forced upon her because she is assuming the role of Alex's journey through the Ever After based on the storybook. And then it transitions to her mom, which could apply to a bit of RWBY's own identity of like why she wanted to be a hunt. She wanted to be just like her mom. You know what I mean? She wanted to be like those people in the books. And, you know, she's a spitting image of her mother. Silver eyes, literally looks exactly the same. You know, wants to be a huntress. And so I feel like it could apply more to like RWBY's mental in terms of like her identity. And it's just showing us what the weapon looks like. Not that the weapon is necessarily here in the Ever After. Or it could be that it's her weapon here in the Ever After. It could be both. You know, it could be both things. But yeah, I was just really shocked about that because, yeah, did not think we'd be getting Summer Rose crumbs in Volume 9. I'll tell you that right now. No, it's definitely Summer. Like, Summer has, like, that one part of her hair that parts, is similar to, like, the other ones that we've seen of Summer in Volume 6 and Volume 7. And, also, I'm gonna, oh, hold on. Ah, danger. I'm gonna increase this image here just to kind of emphasize it. But if you look closely here at the very bottom part, there's almost like a different kind of design for her outfit specifically. Summer Rose could literally have like the same design style. Like she has like a red attire right here, and these kind of look like I don't know, like little leaf accents on, like, I don't know if it's like a part of her outfit or something like that, or like, but you can see them like on the left and right here. So clearly this is Summer Rose's design, and it's just her during a different point in her life. And I expect RWBY to know what her mother's, well, let me do this. I expect RWBY to know what her own mother's scythe looks like, or her own mother's weapon looks like, even if she was a kid, right? Like, she even responds to it. She looks at it like, that's my, wait, like, as if she had a reaction to seeing it, which would make sense if she knows whose weapon that is or where it comes from. And like, she also sees a reflection of her mother in the blade. So yeah. Also, I would just like to say that the pendant on RWBY's fucking hip that's been there since the show has started, being revealed to be like something regarding her mother, is very appropriate, actually, because Summer Rose's emblem is literally Ruby Rose's emblem, but it's a white rose instead of a red rose. And so that represent, like, it's silver because it's made of metal. That being like a memento of her mother's was actually, I actually believe her when she said that it comes with, it's imbued with a mother's promise or whatever. I definitely could see that being something that Summer, like, gave to her as, like, a keepsake before she went on her last mission. But yeah. Hi, Cal. Oh, yeah, Cal's, hello from backstage of the play. Yeah, Cal's doing a play at school. So she's, she's just saying hi. Hey, hopefully your day's going well. I wouldn't be so sure of that, Arnold, but we'll see. I just think it's Ruby adopting Summer's, I think it's Ruby adopting Summer close to her identity. It could be one of two things. It could either be a future Ruby, which is like the version of her that she wants to be, like a future identity of herself, or it's her mom. Like, it's got to be one of those two things. It's hard to tell because, like, it's just hard to tell. Like, Ruby looks just like her mom, and it's unclear, like, what we're supposed to take away from this shot in particular. But it could go both ways for sure. The cast says hi. Hey, what's up? Break a leg, you guys. Not really, but I hope you guys have a good show tonight. Cross, thanks for the $5 super chat. The moment, that moment when you realize Summer's weapon is more practical than Professor Port's, but not by much. I would not be surprised if her weapon has like a crazy transformation. It looks pretty basic when you look at it there on the wall, but like, I wouldn't be surprised if it has like a crazy, like, I doubt that that's all that there is to it. You know? But yeah. Yeah, it kind of has kind of like a halberd axe style to it, which would make sense based on like Little Red Riding Hood, like, you know, the huntsman's axe. And like Ruby being, you know, there's Little Red Riding Hood, there's the Big Bad Wolf, there's the grandma, all of which have silver eyes, mind you. Maria Calavera, the grandma, the Big Bad Wolf being the hound, Ruby being Little Red Riding Hood. And maybe Summer Rose applying and being the huntsman, the wood, like the hunter with the axe, also having silver eyes. So yeah, it's like a scythe-like axe / rifle. I can't help but I feel like the blade, because it's folded right now, it would come out kind of like how Harbinger does, like Crow's weapon, like. It also has like that transformation where the scythe like folds up into like the part that sticks out for it to have that scythe part. I feel like that didn't make any sense, but hopefully someone understands what I mean. So yeah, I all weapons in RWBY have crazy transformations. So I would like hers. I would, you know, at first glance it looks kind of basic. You know, it's like a brutish weapon. It's just a fucking axe for this tiny girl. You know, it doesn't have, but like RWBY obviously crafted Crescent Rose most likely after her mom and her uncle. You know, it's like a scythe like Crow's, but it also is bladed, and it's like a rifle part, like a sniper rifle that could be a part of her mom's weapon. Like it's got the rifle part of her mom's weapon and the scythe part of her uncle's weapon. In before someone revives the Crow is RWBY's dad, because her weapon is more of like his and hers than Tai Yang's. It's like, damn. First it was clothes. It's like, oh, RWBY dresses like him. They both wear the same color, so they have to be related. And now it's going to be, they both use the same kind of weapon, so they're definitely related. Oh, boy. Don't tempt them, man. Yeah, I mean, Tai Yang definitely has a weapon of swords, but it's just like he might have a weapon. Yeah, it's these right here. These freaking weapons of mass destruction. But yeah. Tai Yang is the weapon. We don't have any confirmation on Tai Yang's weapon, but based on how Yang has gets her fighting style from her dad and how she has shotgun gauntlets, I'm expecting him to have some type of melee-based fisticuff-esque weapon. I don't know if they're like freaking brass knuckles or some shit. I don't know. But clearly I'm his weapons are probably something akin to like brass knuckles. Or like fist gauntlets or something. Something similar to Yang's, but not exactly. Brass knuckles. Yeah, and then every time he punches someone, one of his fingers gets like blown off, but he also has his semblance is regeneration, so he just grows his fingers back. But yeah. So yeah, this was such a hype part of the episode because I was not expecting that we would get any semblance of Summer Rose. I thought everything that we knew about Remnant and all the other stuff in the past would be left in the past with the exception of the characters themselves, like Ruby's internal conflict, which I guess her mother is a part of that, so this can still very well apply. But very, very, very excited to hopefully we could potentially get some more Summer Rose crumbs before we go back. And at the very least, we got the reveal of the weapon because this weapon was also showcased in the trailer and no one really knew whose weapon it was. So that's very exciting as well. If you look closely, the blade turns towards Ruby. Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's like hanging. I can see that. Yeah, it's when he gets that first like little sheen. But yeah. Okay, so transitioning to the next shot here. I actually really kind of vibed with this scene right here. When I was grabbing the clips for the episode for today. And I noticed how like Ruby was just kind of trying to process what she just experienced. And then Weiss was like, Ruby, come on, get over it already. Okay, we have stuff to do. And then Ruby's like, oh, okay, I'm sorry. Like she's just kind of like being apologetic for it, which I kind of didn't like. Like I didn't like from like the perspective of like, that's the Ruby needs like some consoling right now. She doesn't need to be told what to do, man. And so, yeah, I noticed that and I was like, oh man, that's not good. That's just going to give eventually Ruby's going to get to the point where she's like, give me a reason. Give me an excuse. I need one right now. You know? And so, yeah, for it to come from Weiss, it sucks too. Cause like Weiss is also kind of like getting frustrated. And I just feel like it's going to just blow up where everyone is just going to get pissed off at everyone for whatever reason, whether they're valid reasons or not. I just feel like everyone's just going to hit a boiling point. And that might be what tips Ruby over the edge to just be like, to make a decision where you probably shouldn't be making a decision when you're at your most like emotionally volatile or emotionally like unpredictable. Like you shouldn't make decisions when you're angry, because those are like the ones that you will immediately regret. And so I feel like, I don't know, I feel like, yeah, I just feel like if this kind of behavior keeps up, it could be what helps Ruby make that choice easier. Yeah. I hate how the rest of the team is just ignoring Ruby's emotions. The thing is, they're not though. They're not ignoring them. Like Ruby is also not reciprocating. If you remember a couple episodes ago, actually it's episode 1 when she collapsed, Yang was like, are you okay? And like Ruby just immediately like just fucking disregarded that question entirely and was just like, Neo attacked me while we were falling, even though that's not what Yang asked her. And it's happened a couple of times in the volume already, but like they're not ignoring her. It's like when they open up and they want her to communicate, she doesn't. And then when she needs that communication, it goes unnoticed because like other shit's happening, you know? So they're just not on the same page right now. So yeah, I don't agree with that. I don't think they're, and even if they were, it's not intentional. This doesn't mean that they're bad people because they're not acknowledging it. It just kind of reinforces that RWBY has never needed this type of emotional support. It's always been there in case she's needed it, I guess, but RWBY has always been the character. I watched a discussion video on like the volume thus far, and again, it kind of like for that discussion, the same people there also are going to reflect what I'm emphasizing here, which is like this volume is showing very clearly how much there's been a lack of consideration, not consideration. There's been like a lack of like, how do I word this? I'm having trouble wording it. Like RWBY has never needed this amount of consoling before. And so now when she needs it, it's kind of, I don't know, it would almost kind of feel like, well, RWBY's always bounced back. So does she really need this pep talk? Does she really need us to communicate with her? So in some cases, it like they try to reach out and she disregards it. So to them, it could reinforce to them, oh, RWBY doesn't need me to talk her through whatever she's going through. You know what I mean? Which again is like a feedback loop. It's just kind of like, okay, she doesn't need my help, but then by me not communicating with her, it's just going to make things worse. And she's going to feel like she has no one to talk to, but she's also not talking to us. So someone's going to have to be like, just has to be blunt about it. Someone's going to have to talk to her even though she doesn't want to be talked to. So yeah, I think that's what's just going. I honestly just think that's what's going on. And you also have to realize everyone else is going through their own shit too. Weiss just lost her entire family, her entire kingdom, and she's still like she's not in the best mood either. So Weiss being the one to snap at her in that moment, it makes more sense that it's Weiss doing it than Blake or Yang. But at the same time, they have an objective to do. They're just trying to get big again. So at the same time, I don't expect everyone to just stop and be like, Weiss, don't talk to my sister like that. And like, it's just adding more problems. And because the plot needs to be focused on, I'm okay with this being something to think on in terms of like RWBY feeling distanced by her team for something like this. So yeah, I think it was okay. And it's clearly going to pay off. And when it does, I'm sure RWBY will let her team know how she feels. So, yeah, that's how I feel about it overall. But I did want to mention it too, because I didn't notice that initially, how Weiss was just kind of like done with everything. She's like, all right, we got everything we needed. Let's get the hell out of here. RWBY, pull yourself together. Let's go. And RWBY's just like, I just experienced something I've never... Did that even happen? I just saw my mom's weapon and Penny, and that reminded me of some stuff that I'm feeling right now, and I'm not kind of all there, and she's forced to get it together, you know? So it's just not... RWBY's just kind of going through it in a different way than everyone else. So you can't really blame her for being, like, not all there, but they don't really know that. And they don't even know... What you also have to think about is they don't know that RWBY's having doubts. And that's not their fault. They're not mind readers. RWBY just had an internal conflict with herself that she doesn't feel that she's fit for the job that she's been trying to work towards this entire time. But because Weiss is convicted, because Weiss has conviction, because Blake has conviction, because Yang has conviction, they assume that their leader also has that same resolve that they do. And so no one's questioning anybody else's mental state. They can't read Ruby's mind. Ruby can't read theirs, and no one's gonna communicate right now because there's really no time for communicating when they're in this current predicament. So at the same time, like, you also have to understand that, like, communication's a two-way street. You can't get on Blake or Yang or anyone for not talking to Ruby enough while also not criticizing that Ruby herself isn't really making it easy for anyone either, you know? You know, and you can't force someone to talk to you if they don't want to talk to you. And if that's the energy they're giving, it's going to lead you to not want to in the future. So Ruby's biggest issue has always been communicating, even with her close friends. I mean, not always, but like when push comes to shove, it shows how easy it's been for Ruby to just kind of vibe out with everyone. But when it really matters, like, this is where she struggles, clearly. So, so yeah, I think it's warranted, from everyone's perspective. Like, Weiss is entitled to her feelings, and I don't think she went about it the right way, and clearly she didn't think that it was more serious than it actually was, because again, they walk up to Ruby and they just see Ruby spacing out. So again, it's just a lack of understanding. They don't know what she's going through right now. And it's kind of hard to expect them to. What do you think her team's... I was just in a freaking forge with this metal woman with freaking chains for hair, and I saw my mom's weapon, and I saw Penny's weapon, and her weapon turned into Alex's dagger, and like, yeah, like, they're gonna still think she's high. You know, it's just not... The plot is definitely making it impossible for Ruby to properly communicate. Like, I think that's the whole thing. The whole point is just to make it as difficult as possible for things to work out in a way where Ruby doesn't absolutely go freaking ballistic. So yeah. Moving on from here, we have the teapot lady, and I really liked this this vacuum effect right here of how it just sucked in all of the other like items on the table, and it almost took the cat with them. I'm surprised the cat didn't just change her purpose right there. Why? Couldn't the cat just change her purpose to give her to have them take the nose hairs, right? You could say, well, why would the cat do that? I mean, it didn't stop the cat from doing that to Hawker to fight the freaking jabberwocker. So, and when I think about that, I'm just like, the cat could just do whatever the fuck it wants. Oh, it was, yeah, I guess he was holding the jar. That does make sense. That does make sense. But, like, they could just change their purpose to be like, hey, you want to give us the jar. That's your new purpose. Your new purpose is giving us the jar, ma'am. But yeah, I realized that if the cat wanted to, he could just run shit. And it almost seems like the cat does. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the cat is like the overseer of this place, or, you know, like an astral projection of the tree or something like that. Your purpose is to give us free items and help us evade taxes. Oh, that's funny. Hey, there's no money in the ever after, so, you know, no taxes in I guess in that regard, which is pretty great considering I have to do taxes on Monday. I got to file for my taxes on Monday, which I'm not looking forward to. Damn. Unless there's no money, but damn, does that mean there's a hugging tax? Actually, well, no, he got that refund. He got refunded on that hug. But had that transaction been finalized, is there a tax on hugs and hopes and dreams and love and all this other shit that the freaking peddler's getting from these people? That's interesting. But yeah, also, the cat's being a real McAsshole over here. Like, the second I saw the cat knock over the fork, I was like, all right, this is the cat's true nature. This is the cat's purpose, being annoying. He's like, all right, this is my world. Y'all just live in it, okay? Remember that. It is a cat. Yeah, I know. That's like big. That's like actually, that is the most cat energy ever. Yeah, I thought that was really funny. I've seen like, I remember watching a cat video. I could probably find it on the internet right now, but like, it's like a video of like the cat. It's like a cup of water on a table, and the cat's like pushing it towards knocking it off. And then the cat looks in the camera. Like, the person's like recording them. They're like, hey, don't do that. And then the cat looks at them. And the cat's still pushing the water off the table while looking at the camera. It's the most like thug life thing I've ever seen. It's so funny, man. It's so funny. And I just feel like that's the cat. That's the curious cat's nature at the end of the day. But yeah, I also like I like the Teapot Lady. Teapot Lady is great. Also, I think the Teapot Lady was voiced by Kaden Jensen. So, the same voice actress for May Marigold, which was really cool. So, that's nice. Also, there could be a RWBY chibi reference in this episode. I saw someone compare the doll with the head on the table to a RWBY chibi skit where Yang punches Penny's head off of her shoulders in chibi. And, yeah, it's like headless Penny, headless doll, RWBY chibi spoils again. Yeah, oh my, this is embarrassing. Yeah. And then Neptune's like, yeah, definitely something weird about that girl. I think that was I think that was the first episode, actually. The first episode of Chibi season 2? Yeah, I think that was the dodgeball. Oh, yeah, it was the dodgeball? I think it was the dodgeball episode. It was either episode 1 or 2. But yeah. God, I missed Chibi was great. Yeah, it was the last skit of the first episode. Yeah, they even have green eyes. Yeah, they have red hair. You can't fool me, Ruby. I'm on to you. I really want to ask that question at a future RTX, or even like ask like one of the writers or whoever might work on, I don't know. I know Chibi is worked on by like 2D in terms of animation, but like I don't know about I would just like to ask someone and get an answer of like, do they actually like put like cheeky spoilers and teases into stuff that have no context in Chibi? Because it's kind of scary how accurate Chibi foreshadows things that happen in the RWBY proper show. But yeah, I'll have to ask, or you know, I'd like to just have confirmation of that. That'd be really cool. But then again, if they confirm it, they probably could never bring Chibi back then, because everyone would just be... Actually, you know what? That would probably make more people watch Chibi, to be honest. And then they'd hyper-analyze every scene, and someone could probably foresee the ending of the show through Chibi. That'd be funny. But yeah, so... They're here for the leprechaun nose hairs, cats being a real asshole, as cats usually are. And immediately after, there is a jabberwocker attack, and RWBY ends up giving up her silver like metal pendant, which, you know, basically represents her mother's promise to her, or a mother's promise, she says. But in that moment, I thought of like, I wonder if Summer promised to return to RWBY, and that promise never came true, unfortunately. And so that's my headcanon. I was just like, oh yeah, a promise to return, and she never did. And the cat gave a little bit of a reaction to that when RWBY did that. I don't know if it was if it was anything of major significance. But again, it's just another part of RWBY that she's giving up to the Ever After for her goals. She gave up Crescent Rose. She's giving up this pendant. She's just giving up more and more of the things that have made her her. That's been a part of her since her freaking original Volume 1 design. You know what I mean? And so, like, yeah, like, even now I'm just like, I feel like this is going to make things even harder for her. She's going to have, like, she's just going to be bare by the time she changes, you know? Also, I think they also did this intentionally for a potential interaction in the future. So we now know that RWBY doesn't have her rose pendant on her hip, but Neo doesn't know that. So if Neo tries to impersonate RWBY, for example, if RWBY's like not around or whatever, we'll be able to tell who the real RWBY is and who the fake RWBY is, based on if Neo should have the crest, like the emblem on her hip, because she wouldn't have known that RWBY got rid of it. So keep an eye out for that. If you see make sure you just always keep an eye on Ruby Rose, just to make sure she doesn't have it. And if she does have it, it's one of two things. It's either an animator goofed, or it's Neo. We're doing the everyone is Neo theory again. I mean, realistically, it's more plausible now, because the Ever After, she can talk like she can project her clones to talk and behave like who they're cloned after. Also, I think it's very rare that people bring up Neo becoming someone else. I mean, she's done that before. Why wouldn't we assume that, you know? She took the image of Nora, you know, just a couple of chapters, just last volume, or volume 7. She literally turned into RWBY. The second she landed, the first thing she did was turn into RWBY. So, you know what I mean? Like, it just, why wouldn't you come to that conclusion? And then she turned into Cinder, and then she turned back into herself, and now she turned into the Jabberwocker. And if I were her and I wanted to kill RWBY, I would pretend to be RWBY from time to time. So, it's just a possibility. Neo can't speak. True. But here's something that I'll give you to ponder. Neo might not be able to speak, but Neo knows what Ruby Rose sounds like. So even though RWBY can't speak, if she's projecting an image of, if she's creating a RWBY clone, she would know what Ruby Rose sounds like for her clone to mimic and imitate Ruby Rose. So, yeah. Also, and I raised that to you as well because the Jabberwocker clone was talking. All of them were talking, actually. So yeah. It's not Neo talking. She's literally creating doppelgangers of the people she's cloning. So it's like, let's just say I'm Neo, and I created a clone of you. That clone is talking, but I'm not talking. You know? It's basically that. And I would assume she would only be able to do that having observed the thing that she is cloning. And she knows Ruby Rose enough to be able to do that. So, yeah. Yeah. Also, Aang Castillo, I was actually thinking about that too. I remember in volume... I remember in volume 4 how, oh my god, there was such this big rile up for no reason, but like people were mentioning like, how does Emerald know that Ruby's outfit had an outfit change when she hasn't seen her since the fall of Beacon? And like, the honest truth is like, it was an oversight. Clearly it was an oversight, but like, they just made the volume 4 rendered RWBY. They would have had to make the volume 3 rendered RWBY in the volume 4 engine. And that's just a lot of fucking work. So I don't blame them for not wanting to do that. Especially since it would only be used for that one scene and never again. So I understand why they did that, but I remember somebody mentioning, oh, Tyrion probably told them what the outfit looks like, which is kind of bogus, but whatever. And they were like, oh yeah, Tyrion went back and told them what she looks like. In grave detail, mind you. And I remember someone doing an artwork, or like I remember someone did like fan art of like Tyrion like mentioning, like sitting in a chair and talking to Cinder and Emerald about the outfit, and then like the other characters like drawing it out on a piece of paper to try to get it right for that training scene with Cinder. It was so funny. It was so hilarious. But yeah. God. OC, thank you for the $10 super chat. Appreciate that. A little late. Do you believe that the blacksmith could be a god / the ever after, since it could manipulate space that not even the curious cat could realize? And it looks like it was creating a new herb. I don't know if it was creating a new herb. It looked more like an actual like vivid butterfly wing. Herb's wings were a little smaller and didn't have that same kind of design. But I don't know. Honestly, I have no idea what the purpose of the blacksmith is. The purpose of the blacksmith seems to be similar to the purpose of Herb, which is to try to help people find a purpose or find a new purpose. And yeah, the only thing is, like, again, Ruby's emotions are more in tune with the world than anybody else's. It's just odd how that exchange happened in the middle of this, you know, of this task that she was doing. And it seemed kind of unprovoked. Like, RWBY wasn't under any type of extreme stress or emotional pressure or anything like that. And RWBY kind of seemed kind of fine. She was just walking through, smiling, seeing all the other creatures and characters interacting and whatnot. And yeah, it just kind of developed how it did. So I have no clue. I think like there might be more to the blacksmith, but beyond that, I'm not too sure. Interesting. It seems like the blacksmith is reforging other people, whereas Herb is giving a new purpose. Yeah, that could be possible. It's very likely. So transitioning, I love how there was a great little fireworks show. Cool, cool. And then the fireworks immediately let you know when danger has approached. I don't know if that's like the overall purpose of these fireworks, but I don't know. It's still pretty interesting all the same. Cool, fireworks. Danger. Oh shit. Yeah, I know. Yang is just kind of like, did I manifest this? Is this my fault? So this is where we get confirmation of the creature that the cat was talking about when we first got here. About, you know, he mentioned earlier, like, there is a creature when he was referring to death in the ever after, and confirms that if the jabberwocker eats one of us, we do not ascend. AKA, true death is only through a jabberwocker in the ever after. So, and apparently from what Jaune mentioned, he said there's only supposed to be one. So there's that as well. So for as big as the ever after is, I'm wondering what would have to happen for someone to need to be eaten. You know what I mean? Because it seems like the jabberwocker, I don't know, it's weird. Like, I don't know if the jabberwocker takes orders from somebody, or if it just thinks out what it's doing, or like, why would it ever feel the need to attack or eat somebody? You know what I mean? If everyone's assuming their roles and is living life accordingly, why would there need to, and there's already a concept of the ever after, what would there need to have been a creature created to kill and destroy? Unless this is, again, the constant of life and death, the god of light, the god of darkness, where the ever after is maintaining creation, and the Jabberwocker represents destruction and represents, you know, destroying life. So again, it could be a part of the Ever After. Also, there was that one bridge area that we saw with the Jabberwocker at the end of episode 3. You had one light bridge, you had one dark bridge. You had the light sky, you had the dark sky. You had that entire dark realm as well. So again, I don't know if this was just, again, another experiment by the gods where it's just like another God of Light experiment with the Ever After's reincarnation, or I'm sorry, the Ascension, and then the God of Darkness is like, okay, well, I need something, and I'll make something that will permanently eat these creations, you know? Yeah. And that's the thing too. This, I'm actually leaning more for it to kind of be that original theory that I had, because these characters don't have free will. They're not humans. They're like toys that the gods are literally playing with. And this could have been just, again, a false, like a failed experiment in their attempts to create humanity and all the properties that come with that: knowledge, choice, destruction, creation. And this was a reality that choice was not a part of the equation. So that could very well apply as well. Why the Jabberwocker? Parents having kids is a thing in the Ever After, or else a mother's promise would make no sense. No, I think RWBY just gave, like, the teapot lady took the teapot lady. I think RWBY just placed like an intrinsic value on that thing to make it more valuable for her to accept. There's no guarantee that, like, children and things like that, I don't know. There's no evidence of that. A mother's promise probably doesn't make sense, but it's like, oh, that sounds like something that's valuable. Okay, let's make the deal. You know, RWBY was also thinking on her feet in that moment too. Sounds like valuable. Give me, yeah. That's what I think, at least. So we have the Jabberwocker, clone, mind you, but fights like a Jabberwocker, talks like a Jabberwocker, twitches and moves around like one. I really thought this was the Jabberwocker at first. Like, it's kind of crazy to think how like Neo's clones, how they function. Like, they function like the real deal. Now, here's the thing, though. That clone was destroyed, so is there now only 8 clones left? Right? Because there was 9 clones in the original. So that clone got destroyed, so there should be 8 clones left, include 8 clones and 1 original. So there should be 9 copies of Neo. There should be 9 copies of Neo left in total. And that's if she can't make more. But yeah, it also kind of sucks. This is that one annoying point. Like, they freaking take the first bite of the parfait, which most of it gets ruined. Like, most of it just freaking dumps out of the freaking thing anyway, and most of it goes to the Jabberwocker. But they eat, and they're like, it didn't work. And it's like, why'd you stop eating? He just said don't overeat. And so, I don't know. That was just a little annoying. It's like, no shit, it didn't work. That means you gotta keep going. You have to, like, empty this thing out if you need to. But yeah. But yeah. Also, I made a Murder-of-Birds joke in this during my reaction. I made a Murder-of-Birds joke when the bird got, like, slammed against that table. Because I thought that's where he died. I was like, he got slammed into that table a little too hard there. There's no way he's alive, right? He's just holding off for them to get big again, right? But, I'm so proud of you. Yeah. Also, I remember joking about this too, but like the eyes, like the trailing of the eyes almost was like, I was like, oh my God, is the bird a maiden? I remember when the trailer first came out, I was like, that'd be kind of funny. But, excuse me. Sorry. But yeah, so the fucking cat literally changed Hawker's purpose and low-key got them killed. Yeah, sure, it was to protect the main characters, but the main characters have plot armor. You know what that means? They're following the story of the book, which means that they can't die until they see how it ends. All right? You just killed the bird for no reason. And you hostile took over this man's entire identity and purpose and whatnot, and you just kind of did that willy-nilly. And this is why I'm sus. Because of things like that, I don't care who this cat is. I don't care if they're helping the main characters. The potential for them to do bad is automatically possible here. And if that is a thing, I'm like, are you going to use that responsibly? And can I trust you to use that responsibly? But then he uses it like this, and I'm like, I get why he did that, but he can do a whole lot worse if he wanted to. And there doesn't seem to be anything outside of this jabberwocker that could stop him. So that's where my sussery comes from. Another thing that has me confused is, why does the cat care if Team RWBY completes their objective or not? Or makes it to wherever they want to. I understand he's curious and he's like, yeah, I'm a curious cat and I want to, you know, I'm bored and you guys entertain me. I get that. Sure, fine, whatever. But like, you were existing before these humans ever got here. So like, why help them now? Like, what do you get out of helping Team RWBY get back home? And why are you so hell-bent on making sure that they followed this path specifically? You know? I don't know, man. I've been burned a little too much by trusting anyone in shows. Like, the more it happens, the more and more I'm just like, okay, you got to really earn my trust, dude. Like, I'm not just gonna. I feel like I trusted him initially, but then when I saw this, I was like, okay, I know a foreshadowing when I see it. So. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this is just all for, like, you know, you're just playing your role in the story or whatever, but the cat seems to be an exception to the rules of the Ever After, you know? When you can just change someone's purpose despite that being kind of like the foundational rules of the world, it kind of makes it seem like you have a bit more influence than... It's kind of like you have, like, admin privileges. We need a detective to solve this. Stop. No, it's not happening. But guess what? Just when the heroes needed help, the goat showed up. God, that first introduction with the music coming in was so fucking hype, dude. So freaking hype. And I knew it was Jaune the second we saw the feet. And yeah, so we have the Rusted Knight and his jackalope white rabbit companion. And yeah, I love the companion there. That's like a beautiful creature. And he named them Jupiter. I'm not Jupiter, Juniper. Blah, blah. Jupiter. Yeah, he named it Juniper after his team. And it's like, bruh, why you do this? It's bad enough. It's bad enough that you have been here for God knows how long. But it's like, bro, he still doesn't remember his homies. He didn't forget the team. The fight itself was pretty interesting. I feel like it might have been... I feel like Team RWBY is a little broken. Like, I don't really feel like there's like a major threat here. Like, I feel like the real threat is like... Well, let me rephrase that. Weiss, Blake, and Yang are literally at the top of their game. So I don't really feel like there's going to be any threat that they can't handle when it comes to combat. I think the real threat is going to come from within. Like, you can kill all of the freaking soldiers and jabberwockers you can, but you can't even get through to your fucking team, to your team leader. You know what I mean? All the punches and kicks and semblances in the world are not going to help them when RWBY loses her identity. You know what I mean? So I feel like that's what the real fight is going to be this volume. So I feel like the fighting, it's cool. Like, yeah, cool. We got a little fight sequence. That was neat. The fight with the soldiers wasn't even like, there were like really no, I felt like looking back on it, I'm just like, that almost felt like a game with no rules at the end of the day, because Team RWBY just kind of blitzed everything because they're OP broken. And it's just like, how do you combat this? How do you combat Yang with her semblance, you know, in a fighting match? I know that wasn't the real Jabberwocker, and, you know, I don't know, but like, I feel like the Jabberwocker isn't the real threat. So, especially not to 3 experienced huntresses. And fucking Weiss hasn't even summoned her knight, which is like her trump card. So yeah, and they're all kind of coordinated and working together. So I'm just like, there's no way you're going to trump Team RWBY by yourself as like a one Jabberwocker. Like, yeah, if there were strength in numbers, that's a different story. But I feel like the real threat isn't going to be a fight. You know, it's not going to be like a throwdown, like there would like a maiden versus maiden or something like that. So, like, they're excelling in what they do best right now, but I feel like the real fight's going to come from like what they haven't been doing as well, which is communicating with each other or figuring out where everybody is mentally. So, I'm all for a mental battle. For sure. Nose time dilation. I'm still going to complain about that. I'm never going to shut up about it until they do it. And then when they do it, I'm going to complain about how long it took for them to do it. And I'm expecting it to happen more frequently to make up for the time that we have not gotten it, which at this point, we're coming up on that 10-year, we're coming up on that 10-year anniversary, let me tell you. And, yeah, it's just, it's not looking good. So the Rusted Knight is back. They took out the Jabberwocker. Turns out it was Neo all along. And there's a bunch of them. I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So there were 6 extra. So there's 7 Jabberwockers total in this scene. One of them they destroyed. So there's 6 others. And it's like, damn, Neo. I don't know what Neo's purpose is. I don't know if she's just trying to rile up Team RWBY and company. Because her ultimate goal is RWBY, and I don't know if she'll be able to get through to RWBY like she wants to in terms of being able to kill her. Seeing Jaune was super fucking cool at this point. And like, yeah, I think this is where Hawker dies. Whether Hawker ascends or not is irrelevant, because they probably won't even be back as... let's just say this is their last day selling mud cookies, all right? And I don't think they made a profit, so that's kind of an unfortunate failing of his former purpose, and now his new purpose is to fight and die. So for all we know, I don't know, man. You know, he achieved this purpose at least, and so he's dead, and he'll probably ascend again and be something completely different. He'll probably sell like actual like Girl Scout cookies this time or some shit. But yeah, meanwhile, a ton of chaos. Everyone's running away, screaming, crying, shit's on fire. Weiss realizes the troubles of being an anime protagonist. Wherever you go, you leave a trail of freaking ashes in your wake, for better or for worse. And like, this is just, again, a reminder of her life that she's been living this entire time, right? This is Atlas all over again. She just went through this not too long ago. And, you know, it's just a reminder that this is something that's constantly on her mind. You know, she talked about it with RWBY earlier, a few chapters ago, and she's kind of getting aggressive and lashing out, and, you know, it's probably her way of coping for the time being. And it's just stuff like this kind of, I don't know, I feel like there's a chance to relapse and just really double down on the bad vibes when stuff like this happens to them constantly. Yeah. Also, the cat staying behind with Hawker is also kind of sus, because it's like the cat is clearly not dying. But it's like, what can the cat do? What the cat doing? You know what I mean? Like, what can the cat actually do? You know, other than, like, I don't know. I don't know if he can change the freaking hearts of these semblances. Yeah. Also, in that final shot, you only see Hawker get freaking attacked by the freaking jabberwockers. You don't even see the cat. Like, the cat literally just ran off. But, or the cat could maybe have lured them the other way or something. But yeah, it's, unlucky, man. An actual murder of birds took place here today. Or a murder of bird, one bird. Singular. But holy shit, bro. The fucking kid is a man. Jaune fucking Arc is here. I said it in my reaction. Everybody and their mother knew it was Jaune. There was not a single person who thought it wasn't Jaune. I refuse to believe that. But we did not think it was this Jaune. There were probably some suspicions, right? The rusted knight implies rusted armor, implies aging. But the question is how? You know? I'll talk about what I think, but, you know, a lot of people are questioning, does this mean Jaune was always the rusted knight in the story? And how is that possible before Jaune had the opportunity to become the rusted knight? And I like how there's a sense of, like, time paradox. It's like the chicken and the egg. It's like, which came first? How did Jaune become the knight in the story if he didn't become the knight until he was 18 to fall into the ever after to fulfill that prophecy in a sense, right? And it kind of implies that, like, the ever after has, like, a functioning timeline that is very different. Like, time is not in a line. Time is in a circle, and it's constant, you know? That's why clocks are round. Another interesting thing is the order in which they fell. Jaune fell the first, so he technically... Jaune fell last, which means he entered the ever after first. And if you fell first, you got there last. So if you fell first, you started at the beginning of the story's timeline. If you fell last, you fell at the origin point of the story's timeline. You know? So, also another thing too, it could be based on where they fell, when they fell in the ever after, like when they fell during volume, they could have fallen into that specific timeline. Like, you know, in the void below the bridge, like below like the transitional area. But, the thing is, the order in which they fell does not matter, because where they fell does not apply the same way. Just because Yang fell before Blake does not, well, just because Yang fell before Jaune does not apply here, because Jaune has aged significantly compared to Yang, who fell before any of them. So we have to completely dismiss what we know about how that would happen in real life. All we know that happened is that Jaune falling put him at the point in the story of the ever after that lines up with Alex's story. Because he had to become the rusted knight to fit the role within the storyline. Now, what could have happened is that there was a rusted knight before him, and maybe that rusted knight fought the Jabberwocker and died, and then Jaune assumed the new role of the rusted knight, like the modern day rusted knight. But it still doesn't explain his aging. They fell, right? Like, Team RWBY at least might be exempt from this. I mean, Neo as well, so it only applied to Jaune. Maybe it only happens to men. You guys ever think about that? Maybe this is like, maybe it's because Jaune's a man, and they needed him to fulfill the role of the Rusted Knight, and none of the other characters could. So they fucking jettisoned his ass far enough. Or, I mean, it wouldn't make sense. He would have to have aged. So they threw him far enough in the timeline where he has lived out the years up to this point where Team RWBY is now falling into the world. Another thing too is if you go back and watch, I didn't pull it up here, but if you go back and watch the intro, there are footsteps leading onto the beach before Alex gets up, which implies that someone was here before her. And I think that could have foreshadowed that that was Jaune. Like, Jaune has been here before Alex. And he lived up to the point where he assumed the role of the Rusted Knight. And then Alex fell into the world and met him. And, like, went on his journey with her. And then Team RWBY fell and he's been waiting for them. So it's just that the funkiness of the Ever After, or like the Void too, it threw him into a different timeline, or into a different part of the timeline. What if that's why Jaune admitted him to Beacon? I mean, unless Ozpin like foresaw all of these events playing out as such, it would have, I don't know, that would be really, I don't know, that'd be like freaking 10D chess right there. He would have had to like pave their entire life up to the point where they fell. No, I know he knows the story of the Ever After, but like, there's a bunch of men that went to the, that went to Beacon. Or a bunch of characters that went to Beacon, I should say. I'm just saying, like, for him to get those characters in that specific situation for things to play out, that's a bit omniscient. Brianna Williams, thank you for the super chat. I don't care what y'all say, Jaune looks good like this. Oh yeah, it's definitely it's a glow up. It's just a depressing one because he's been here alone. You know what I mean? Like, he's had nobody. He's not keeping up with his armor. He's let his hair grow out. He hasn't shaved, and it's just like he has his only friend is a jackalope that he named after his team. You know, it's like, sure, Jaune's definitely matured and grown, but like at the same time, it was not under the best circumstances, you know. But yeah, aesthetically, he looks great for sure. I just think, like, you know, I feel for the kid. You know, because now what I'm thinking about is this reversible? You know what I mean? Like, and I feel like it would take away the impact if it wasn't. I'm sorry, if it was. Remnant Star, thank you for the $5 super chat. If he stayed this age when returning to Remnant, imagine him meeting up with the red-haired woman in from Argus. I mean, that'd be interesting, but like, for me at least, I'm thinking about this from like a stakes perspective. I actually think, I hadn't thought of it until this episode, but I wouldn't be surprised if Jaune stays here. I wouldn't be surprised if Jaune stays here. I wouldn't be surprised that if Jaune doesn't revert back to his younger self. Just because this is his purpose now. You know what I mean? Based on how long he's been here, he has had to have at some point had the conversation with himself to realize his predicament, realize that he wasn't getting out of here, realize that no one was, he always held out faith that Team RWBY would get there. He even said, he was like, Team RWBY, you finally made it. Almost as if he was waiting for them. But it was just a matter of time. And like being here for this long probably has him like acclimating to this new life. He's got a companion, he's got a role, he's got a purpose. And I think there is a possibility that he stays here. Which would hurt because of Ren and Nora. Like I see Jaune, and the first thing I thought of is like, how is Ren and Nora gonna react to this? But for this to happen and be resolved in the same volume it happened would almost cheapen the fact that it happened in the first place. Like at that point, it would be like, why did he even age if it was just simple enough for him to revert back? Now, what I think would be nice, that is, let's just say he does revert back. I would want him to maintain that lived experience. I would want him to maintain his sense of maturity. I would want him to maintain all the things that he experienced in the Ever After by himself, which would mean that Jaune would almost kind of be like a mentor at this point. Like Jaune is just in a life experience completely on another level compared to any of his peers at this point. And yeah, I don't know. I don't know what they could potentially. They have so much they could. Jaune is the main character right now. Like he is what matters at this moment. And so I don't know. They can go so many different ways. Jaune can fulfill this purpose, tell Team RWBY what they need to know, and then move on and explain to Ren and Nora what happened to him. He could go back and revert back to younger Jaune and lose all the memories, which would kind of make a scene like this feel less emotional, which I feel like it was supposed to, because this kid just sacrificed his years of his life for this situation to play out the way that it did. And he also has his own companion, right? Like RWBY has Little and he has Juniper. Or he can go back to Remnant as he is, and that'll be fun to explain, but it would also feel weird that Jaune is now like... I don't know why. I feel like Jaune would be the adult of... Jaune automatically becoming the adult of the group would just be so weird. It'd be such a weird dynamic. But, like, that's also a possibility if he decides to go back. And the thing, too, is just, like, the reaction. Like, how would Ren and Nora react? How would his sister react? How would, anyone that knows Jaune, the rest of his family or whatever the case might be. Isn't he already an adult? I mean, he's like 18, 19, but you know what I mean. Like, there's 18 and 19, and then there's like a 30-year-old. He looks like he's in his 30s. He's got gray hair. He's got like wrinkles on his face. He's got a full-ass beard. He's a man, right? Even if you're like of legal age, you're still a kid. You know what I mean? Like, you're not an adult just because you can vote. And he has the years of experience to match that. It's not like he just woke up one day and he was an adult. Like, he's lived through it, which means that he's very much an adult compared to them. So, it's so interesting. It's so interesting to see where they're going to go with Jaune. Jaune is the key to everything now, to contextualizing the story of the girl who fell through the world, Alex, what happened. He's probably going to talk to RWBY about him killing Penny. I feel like there was more room for angst if he was younger, but as an adult, coming to terms with that and talking to a younger version of RWBY and explaining and reliving that experience that he went through, which to him it was years, decades ago, probably. It's definitely going to be a very interesting exchange, because none of them thought he fell. Like, he was the last one to fall, so he was the last one to fall. He was the first one to land, apparently. And, you know, the Ever After had different plans for him. I think he will ascend and forget, but his heart will remember. That is also possible. Because you would think that at this moment, his purpose is to guide Team RWBY. I'd assume, right? It seems like he was waiting for them. And if he achieves that, you ascend once you fulfill your purpose, and then you find a new purpose. And apparently that allows you to change. Like, he won't be the same person that he is, but his heart will always remember. So does that mean Jaune gets does he look the same? Will he revert back to his 19-year-old self? You know, his 18, 19-year-old self? But yeah, Jaune has come a long way, dude. It's so crazy. I didn't think they would do this to him, but look, it is what it is, dude, you know? But yeah, so I'll tell you guys what I want. I want a Jaune-focused episode next week, which solely focuses on Jaune's experience of the Ever After with Alex and his understanding of how the Ever After works and relaying that information to Team RWBY. The only reason I feel like that might not happen is because Aaron, Barbara, Lindsay, there's so many people on RWBY that are hyping up this next episode that it can't just come from a backstory. Unless it does, and something is revealed in that backstory that takes place during a time where it was before anything. Like, right, so if Jaune fell here, this must have been before, I'm going to say this took place before the Great War. And the reason I say that is because Alex's name is not a color, which predates the culture of naming your kids after colors, which took place after the Great War happened 80 years ago. So if Jaune fell into the world to become the Rusted Knight before Alex fell, this would have had to have been at least 80 years ago. And it would have been around the time that Ozpin founded the schools and all that other stuff. So it could very well even be like some early, like maybe Ozpin has been here or whatever the case might be. But from Jaune's perspective, I'm just curious of what would happen in the episode that would cause RWBY to be like, stay off the internet. If it's a backstory, you know? Could Jaune have met Summer? Could Jaune have met Alex? Could Jaune have met Ozpin in the past during his time in the Ever After? Which would be weird because he's thrown into the past and it's like a past version of these characters. You know what I mean? Yeah, and Aaron actually said, like, to stay off the internet for like the next 3 weeks if you are not watching it as soon as the episode comes out. If you don't want to be spoiled, because they were like, there's no way the community is going to be able to keep their shit in check. Could be Pyrrha. Yeah, he could. A flashback moments of him and Pyrrha, maybe. Like if he has like those, if his emotions also resonated with the world in a different way, that would be interesting. Right? Oh my god, Pyrrha Nikos in the Volume 9 engine? Holy shit. Here's something to ponder too, chat, if you guys want to get more depressed. I heard a theory that somebody brought up, which was like, what if the reason why Jaune's armor is rusted is because, like with RWBY, when she gets emotional, it rains, And after what happened with Penny and Jaune falling and having no one with him, it was just always raining on Jaune, and that's how his armor rusted faster than usual. I thought that was like that was like a holy shit moment. Like, damn, bro. Like, that's, you ain't gotta do my boy dirty like that. Like, Jesus. And then they also joked that where is it? Hold on, let me see. They also joked that there wasn't water here before. Like, when the Ever After was first established, there was no water here. This is just all of Jaune's tears. And the rain that fell on him when he was, like, crying. Oh, man. But yeah, it do be like that, man. We gotta laugh to keep from crying, chat, right? So we gotta lighten up. We gotta lighten the mood sometimes. Damn, now that is sad. But yeah, so I'm so hyped for I keep saying next week. It's literally in 2 days. I'm so hyped for Saturday. I thought this episode was cool, was exciting. And I'll be honest with you, I'm hyped only because, for 2 reasons. How this episode ended, and it's magnified by the fact that, RWBY and everyone is literally telling people to stay offline. I'm gonna be right fucking there, dude. The second the episode the second the episode starts, bro, I'm there. Yeah, I'm not going on the internet until I've seen the episode. I mean, that's always me. But I'm so excited. I'm so excited. But yeah, that is kind of what we're left to ponder. We have the beautiful concept art. Look at that fucking Jaune design, bro. Also, Jaune's armor is so fucking cool. That is definitely new and improved armor beyond what he had. Before, he only had, the armor plate, the chest plate. But, everything else, and maybe, the shoulder pads, maybe they're, a little different. But I wouldn't be surprised if he had a run-in with the blacksmith. But see, this is the thing. I thought he ran into the blacksmith until I saw him holding his weapon. When I saw that he still had the broken sword, first off, I was like, oh my god, I can't believe he still has the broken sword. I thought he would have forged it to get fixed again, but he still has the broken sword. He still has his foldable shield. And, yeah, he's just kind of, taking on this new identity for himself as the Rusted Knight. He's got, the red tie in his hair, which a lot of people are assuming that that's, his connection with Pyrrha, from the red sash. And obviously the broken sword and shield still has her armor melded with it, which is another thing too, because it's kind of damn, bro, that's the last thing of Pyrrha's that he has that he's still holding on to. And I'm wondering if he's going to get those things reforged if he decides to leave the Ever After. Because it seems like he's very okay with living and existing as he has been. And it seems like, I don't want to say he's given up, but he's just stopped caring as much. His armor is in shambles. His hair's growing out. His beard's freaking unruly. And he's just, he's probably stressed as well. He's got white, gray hairs. And I can't imagine what this kid's been through. So, next week's chapter, or this weekend's chapter, I keep saying that next week. This weekend's chapter is gonna be fucking awesome, I feel like. And I really, really, really can't wait. I have no idea what they could possibly be foreshadowing and teasing for us for this next episode. But I really, really, really hope that Jaune gives us a lot of exposition. And I hope it's a lengthy episode, too. I hope it's enough for them to kind of get everything they want to say out. I hope Jaune talks about Penny. I hope Jaune talks about how he's been feeling here, what it's like to see them again. Their reaction, I'm actually more excited to see how they respond to seeing him here, because none of them knew that he fell in the first place. Yeah, Jaune's been here for Jaune's been here for the real world equivalent of how long it's taken for us to get Volume 9. That's the only reason he's aged. he was never meant to age, but like the hiatus kind of did this to him. That's funny. But yeah, that is the episode. That is kind of where we're at right now, chat. I have no freaking clue. I'm so excited though. Excuse me. Yeah, they can do a lot of things. They can do Summer Rose. They can do, if he's having like images or flashbacks or reminiscing, or if the Ever After is playing with his emotions. I can see a Pyrrha moment with Jaune. There's so much potential. There's so much potential for Jaune right now. And he is the main character now for this next episode. But yeah. All right, give me 1 second. Gorilla Geek 27, thank you for the $10 super chat. If anything, I would like for Jaune to come back to Remnant and keep his experiences in the Ever After. Like, imagine how much he's improved in that time. Fighting wise, I feel like he would improve fighting wise. I doubt he's had any use. I doubt he's had any need to use his like semblance, because it's just been him, other than for like shielding if he was in like a fight with a jabberwocker or something. But yeah, I agree. I would like him to come back, whether he looks that way. Maybe he can get like a haircut, like, you know, use the blade of his sword to clean himself up a little bit with his hair and his beard, if you know, just so he can kind of like look like he's taking care of himself, you know. Clean out that armor. I don't know if he can completely get rid of that rust, but you know, just kind of get himself back up on his feet, because it seems like he's kind of let himself go just because of being here by himself all this time. Tony, thank you for the $2 super chat. Time was not on Jaune's side. Yeah, I think that's what the clocks implied as well. But yeah. This was great. Thanks. Hey, thank you, Carlos. Thank you for tuning in. I hope you guys all enjoyed the discussion. We have okay, so really quick, I was not able, I completely forgot actually. It was like 2 or 3 days later that I realized it, but I never put up the poll last week for the poll that I said I was going to do. And honestly, I feel like I'm not going to be able to do it again this week because I'm so freaking swamped with work. So the opinionated pointless polls is going to be on a little bit of a break for right now, just so I can kind of focus on other things. I have a sponsored Honkai stream tomorrow. RWBY's on Saturday. I'm streaming Genshin on Sunday. I have taxes to do on Monday. And I'm just like... I'm going through it right now. I just really want RWBY to like get me through the week at this point. You know, close out my weekend with some good old RWBY. And yeah, but the discussion was great, and I really hope you guys enjoyed it as well. We are going to be closing things out as we usually do, because something's got to remain consistent here. Let's see what we got. Okay, so last we saw, the cat was playing with the freaking fish and damn near dropped him. Okay, let's see. All right, so the last scene was that he was like balancing the fish on the freaking umbrella. Look at this. Look at this. Completely irresponsible behavior. The fish is like, yo, put me down. And he's like, nah, chief, I'm good. All right, let's carry on. Have no fear, said the cat. I will not let you fall. Wait, hold on. Okay. Have no fear, said the cat. I will not let you fall. I will hold you high as I stand on a ball, with a book in one hand and a cup on my hat, but that is not all I can do, said the cat. Look at this guy. Look at this guy. Look at this freaking circus attraction. What a menace. No, I did not read that one. I know which one I read it. It sounded similar, but it's just emphasizing what he's actually doing now. Yeah. Yeah, the cat's a show off. Absolute bars. Yo, Dr. Seuss was kind of onto something, no? I have a confession to make, chat. When I was a kid, I thought Dr. Seuss was the cat. I don't know if anyone else thought that. But I thought I thought this was Dr. Seuss as a kid. So I can't live a lie anymore. Every time I read it, I'm like, I thought this, and no one knows that I thought that. So maybe I should come clean. I feel like I'm lying to you guys by not telling you. But yeah, thank you all so very much for tuning in to the live stream discussion. These discussions have actually been pretty tame. I remember, bro, I looking back on it now, I don't know what I was on when my discussions were like 5, 6, 7 hours long. Like, bro, I was built different back then. Now I'm just like, bro, give me 3 hours and let me go on with my day. I feel like I can just get everything out I want to say. Maybe the episodes are just more, like, we have more information, so there's less things to speculate on or whatnot. I know, right? Famous last words. They're hyping up these next few episodes. Watch, these next few episodes are going to be maddening like crazy. Yeah, StarCraft Squall, I appreciate you keeping tabs on the super chats, but it's not necessary. Some of the super chats I'm not going to be able to get through, and they don't show up once they leave my screen here. So unfortunately, I can only catch them when they're actually active on the chat, but if not, I still acknowledge and I appreciate the support that people send my way when they do them. But yeah, I've noticed you mention it a bunch of times, and I just don't want you to constantly do that. But all that aside, this was a great episode. I think it, like I said, it got better as it went on. It left off on a super high moment, and I just really hope that we can make it through whatever RWBY is hyping up for this episode and the next couple, because we're in the second half. We have 5 episodes left, episodes 6, 7, 8, 9, and the finale of 10, to get through everything that we need to get through for this volume. And you know, we still have Neo, we have Jaune's backstory, we have the tree, we have you know, RWBY's mental state that I feel like has to get through. We have to get through, and like Alex's story. So I really hope the episodes just ramp up, just so it feels like everything's not getting crammed towards the end. But how is that, chat, man? We have to wait 2 years, and now the volume's almost done. You know, Lord knows when we're getting volume 10. I know that they're working on the second half, or I think they're putting together the second half of the Justice League movie. I know the first half is going to be out next month. So after this, who knows what who knows when or what volume 10 is going to be, or when it's going to come out. But overall, I'm just really excited. Yo, Ryan, thank you for resubbing 28 resubbing for 28 months. I appreciate that. The parfait predicament. Parfaits may be the most delicious thing on this whole planet. Oh, okay, so from Shrek. Everybody likes parfaits. That's funny. Thank you for the resub, bud. Appreciate you. Do we know how well the series is doing at all on Crunchyroll? Well, realistically, we've never known. We've never known how well RWBY does. We just know that we always get another volume, which implies that it's going. And RWBY seems to be pretty confident with it going to Crunchyroll, so you know, it is what it is. I assume RWBY's continuation is also based on that support, so you know, watch the Justice League movie if that's something. I assume watching the Justice League movies will also show Warner that RWBY is worth being invested in, even if the Justice League aspect is shoehorned in there. Unfortunately, it is what it is. But thank you guys all so much for the support. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed the content. Hope you guys enjoyed my thoughts, theories, conversations, discussions, everything else in between. Very, very happy with this episode, and I'm really looking forward to the episode this weekend. My reaction to both episode 5 will be up on YouTube this weekend. My reaction to episode 6 will be up on Patreon this weekend as soon as I can possibly get it up there. I feel like this episode is going to have a lot of people hyped and excited for that in particular. But yeah, that is everything. Thank you guys all so much for the support. Oh yeah, Julia, I don't know if you heard earlier, but I'm actually kind of swamped at the moment, so there's not going to be a poll this week. So yeah, we're gonna come back to that before the volume ends. But thank you guys, really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys watching the VOD enjoyed the content as well. But that's going to do it for me. Y'all enjoy the rest of your week. Enjoy your weekend. I will see you guys for episode 6's discussion on Thursday. And yeah, thank you guys all so much, and take care. Bye-bye. See ya.